it's just a dog.
Live.
What's up, and welcome everybody to episode 55 of the Pylon Show. Another week where we just picked a random day and a random time to do this show, and it just ended up on Wednesday at 5:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'm just so thankful. So thank you all for tuning in. Dan, you got something? What do you got?
Are you still getting people that ask you what time
Every day
and day the show's on?
Every single day.
You know, I figured the trick to not have that happen is just never read your Twitch chat. That's the way I go with
I know. I roast people.
Okay, I wanted to give you that tip.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So if you just straight up ignore people, they won't ask. But if you roast people, they like flock to you. It's like this weird human need to martyr or something. They're like, Jeff, when's the Pylon Show? Like, and then I just go on a rant and I just roast them a little bit. But anyways, I guess it's at this time that I would say always check the website. We have a website. It's actually really good. It's got the countdown clock on it. It's got previous episodes. It talks about where you get questions, all that stuff. We got a great website, you guys. Check it out. But enough about us. We got two wonderful guests here joining us for episode 55 to talk about StarCraft and StarCraft-like things. First and foremost, a man who needs an introduction because he is called by many different things.
So good.
It is Gemini, or according to Artosis, what do you call him, Dan?
Emini or Emini?
GG
like
Emini?
CNN enemy? Yeah.
I'm a man of like 20 names apparently, all dubbed by Artosis.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me on. Super awesome. Super excited. Hope I don't make an embarrassment of myself, and we'll go from there.
We haven't had that happen yet. We haven't had an embarrassing guest, I don't think. I think the closest is No Regret, but he's kind of like... that's what you get with him. Yeah. I think that's his case. And then, is this the first time you've been on?
Yeah, first time.
Okay, I feel bad. You should have been on a long time ago. I blame Dan.
I know, right?
She is an incredibly intrinsic part of the StarCraft scene, did a lot of work behind the scenes, and finally we get to have her here. So thank you for coming on. How you doing?
Good, I'm doing good, thanks.
You're in Korea, right?
Yeah, I'm in Korea right now.
You were able to wake up at, what is this, like 9:45 a.m.?
Well, actually, when Artosis invited me, he put, "Oh, hey, it's gonna be at 9:45 p.m. at our time," and I was like, "Cool."
Did I put PM?
Yeah, you did. And so I actually just woke up randomly because I had another meeting scheduled this morning. I looked at Team Liquid and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I gotta cancel that one."
This is why I'm not supposed to invite people.
I'm so glad you told that story so that people can see what I deal with behind the scenes.
Yep, I did write PM. I just double checked. I'm like, there's no way. Absolutely.
Like, all right, cool. So that works for me. And then I scheduled something in this morning, and I was like, oh, well, all right, that's okay.
That's very good. Yeah, Dan's a bit of a cosmic troll, that one, because he does it all the time. He'll say like tomorrow. We'll be like, when's the GSO? It's like Saturday. We're like, Dan, there's like 5 people from Korea listening to the show. It's the rest of us, it's Friday, right? And he's like, yeah, you're right, it's Friday. It's like, oh, all right. Well, hey, thank you guys for coming on. We have a nice episode. I will say, credit where credit's due. It is mostly Dan and Cobra that put this one together. I needed to take a little bit of a backseat. I'll just say this now to get out there because people keep asking. It's just another platform to put it. But Sunday I went into the doctor's office, urgent care, because I had a abscess on my groin, which is just a infection. It just looks like a big sack of flesh. Not the one you're thinking, though. And I was either going to go to Home Story Cup and just be like, I hope it clears up, or I was going to deal something with it. But I've had a staph infection in the past, which is not what this is. And you don't leave it to your body, because if it doesn't heal, you're in a lot of trouble. I went to the doctor's office, and the first doctor freaked me out because he's like, that's over your femoral artery. I can't do anything about that. Go to the ER. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I freaked out, go to the ER. They're like, no, it's not. And they drained it, gave me some medication, and now I'm just kind of in discomfort because I have an open wound that's just bleeding pus and blood. And I'm taking medication, but I'm okay, and I'm fine. But that doesn't mean I don't go to Home Story Cup as was planned, so I'm here doing the show. But it also meant that Cobra and Dan did basically all the work for what the topics are, and they got these lovely guests, which I feel a little bit bad about, because like I said, I should have asked these guys a long time ago. But that's the show. So everyone that was concerned, thank you, but I'm okay. But then we'll proceed. Okay, so as always, Pylon Show could not be done without our lovely supporters, and I'm going to go quickly through this. AFKT, Lycan, good stuff. Check it out. It's just good tea, and he supports our show, and he's a Starcraft guy, so please do it. You can also go to Matcherino, and this is where I hold my breath because this is Cobra's creativity corner right now. Cobra, what is today's National Candy Month?
Candy Month. So the code is just candy.
How about that, Dan? You excited about that? It's Candy Month.
A whole month for candy, huh?
Well, I wouldn't recommend it. You get diabetes.
Pretty unhealthy at the end of that month.
I think you need to slow your roll, guys, in the chat if you're looking at the month of candy. But yeah, you just type in candy in there. The link will be in the chat. I'm sure it's also in the show notes as per usual. It doesn't cost you guys anything, but it helps. In fact, I just saw that number change. That's amazing. But I think it went down. I don't know.
Oh.
Normally, if you bug the chat enough, right? Because we have so many people in here. If you guys just all go and do it, it actually helps us. Think about that.
And we have two lovely people that know all about this too. Olimoleague, she does a lot of stuff with this. Yemeni, I'm sure.
Candy.
Make sure
I contribute each time.
Wait a
That's
minute.
about as much as I know.
Yeah.
Is it Olimoleague or is it Olimoleague?
It's Olimoleague.
Oh,
I was gonna
So
say.
listen, Dan messes up people's legacy by giving them the wrong name. I'm just American, so I just mispronounce everybody's name, and I apologize.
This is all because of the Fear Dragon. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's him that he started it by saying, "Oh, I love your tournament, Olimo," and then everybody was suddenly like, "Oh yeah," so her name's Olimo, and her name and her league is Olimoleague or something like that, and then it spiraled down.
See, if you guys are
entirely.
Yeah, if you're a savvy supporter of the Pylon Show and you have access to the VOD, if you go back and watch, you'll notice in the introductions I actually slightly did not say her name because I'm confused on it. Because I've talked about you, of course, in the past. You do all kinds of wonderful things for Starcraft, and I've been corrected both ways. I've had people like, "That's not how you say your name, dude. It's this other way." And show some respect, you son of a bitch. And I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm trying." So whenever that happens to me, I just now I'm like, "Thank you for being on. You're a wonderful person." And they're like, "Yeah, what's your name, Jeff?" I'll be like, "Anyways, next topic." So, but now I know Olimoleague, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to remember that.
Olimoleague.
That's why people just start calling me Olivia now. I'm like, all right.
Just call her Olimoleague. Just call her the name of the tournament.
I'm
That's her
going
name.
to call you Mole Trap.
That's always good.
Yeah, you're the new
We're
Mole
not
Trap.
trying to insult her, okay?
All right, so you guys can support us through Matcherino. Please do. You guys do a great job of that every season, by the way. It seems like it fills up, and we really appreciate that. But biggest and most importantly, of course, is through our Patreon. And that number continues to go up, and we just love you guys. Thank you so much. It's incredible. We'll keep making content for you guys as long as you keep supporting us. And if that keeps growing, like I said, eventually we'll get Dan to that moon base. We'll get me my robotic exoskeleton, and we'll take over the world. Okay, that's the plan. Thank you. So that's the way to support us. So let's talk topics, guys. What do we got? Or no, we got This Week in StarCraft. But what are the topics? Let's do the topics, then say This Week in StarCraft.
You make me scroll down.
Actually, he just has it right here. I just have to look at it. I'm just going to put it on the right screen. Boop, bop-a-doop, boop. All right. General history of the Olimoleague. I like that. Managing Korean tournaments. Seems like a Olivia question again. Up-and-comers in Korea. There's none, so that'll be quick. Gemini. Current
Up-and-comers and what can be done and all that.
Current team house solo environment is and how. Okay.
That's a yeah. I didn't expect Cobra to literally copy paste my whole little description of it in
Cobra
there too.
is a blue collar robot. So if you say here's my topic and you write him a story, the story is the topic. So here we go. Gemini says current team house / solo environment is how and it differed from the past could be interesting. I know Artosis likes talking about coaching / sports psychology stuff, and I'm kind of curious to talk about that in the current environment of teams in StarCraft 2 and how teams now are basically just personal sponsorships and anything else outside of Gen Air.
I figured I'd abbreviate it later.
No, that's
Did you just forget to abbreviate it or what?
it's perfect. It's a great
Is that going
topic.
to fit on the screen?
Running out of time. I'll.
Cobra, you got to leave it like that because I got to read it later again. And then we'll do the Patreon Q&A and we're done. So a nice little StarCraft dose. I think one of the topics we should talk about is For some reason, you guys forgot. The home story groups were announced today, so we should break that down and talk about it.
Yeah, we should hit that.
Would be a good thing to do. It does start tomorrow. So yeah, so
I'll drop that in the middle there later.
All right, thank you, Cobra. So let's do This Week in StarCraft and then get to those topics.
All right, we're going to go breakneck speed here. Well, through the first 19 things. I was prepping it, and then I didn't leave myself enough time. All right, here we go. We have a 2019 up-and-coming events calendar in the show notes. It's just full of all the big stuff that's happening right now through December. There are links anywhere that you find the show. You can check it out, and anything that I mention, I can't say every little thing about everything. So you can always check out the show notes for links and more information on all these things. So since, Games Done Quick is going on right now, we're going to do This Week in StarCraft Speedrun Edition. Ooh. All right. The Banshee Tournament. Buzzbin beats QB 3-1. The next one's July 13th. If you're a woman interested in playing, then check out their Discord and Twitter and YouTube to watch it live. Normally it's on Zombie Grub's channel. The Alpha SC2 Team League has the pro, semi-pro, and amateur divisions for both NA and EU. You can check it out on africatv.com/AlphaXSC2 or alpha.tl/AfricaTV Cup. The Alpha X Pro Series LatAm Edition, casted by Enki and Romsley. Dasan took down Xeons 5-1. Check it out on africatv.com/AlphaXESP. Sentimiento Latino number 59, a term for Latin American residents only, which is restricted from anyone who gets top 16 at WCS Circuit since 2016, aka Cham Kelliger and Special are not allowed to play. We had Ryu beat Terran 3-0 in number 60, and the next one, or rather that was number 59, number 60 plays on June 29th. All right, the Copa America 2019 Season 1 finished up. Special defeated Kelliger 4-0 in the finals, with Cham getting 3rd place and Eric getting 4th place, so kind of as expected. Special and Kelliger both qualify for WCS Summer 2019. What was that, Jeff?
Just Terran struggles, man. It's really hard to watch this,
Oh, I know. You should see. We'll keep going through. Terrans are only winning most of the tournaments. Okay. It looks like Clash SC2 Invitational. Many top European players are in the 2 large groups. This is being casted mostly by Rotterdam and DeMuslim. The finals are going to be played offline in July. Check out the cast at twitch.tv/clash with a Q_StarCraft2. The Master Swan Open / Sea Duckling Open, of course, is going on. The Sea Duckling Open number 63 was won by Aeon Leader over Chill All Day 3-2. The Master Swan Open plays on June 28th over at twitch.tv/cranky_ducklings. All right, the Gemini Korean Invitational June edition. Emily, why don't you run us through this? What's going on with this?
So we did the second version of it just the other day, earlier this week. It's a tournament. It's a 4-man tournament. Basically, I invite 4 Korean players each month, funded by my Patreon. This time it was also funded by Scythe, my team. As they're kind of like going away last thing, they did it because we'll see that. I don't know if it's in the thing later, but Scythe did close down and got merged with the Ghoster crew. So that was them giving one last little thing with me. And but yeah, Cure for the finals again. Our wonderful narrative of Terran being extremely strong continues here as Protoss gets absolutely obliterated.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. So earlier on Rotterdam's stream, he said that DeMuslim is better than Cure, specifically. Can we just award...
Did he say that?
He did.
That's very interesting.
Absolutely. Would DeMuslim win this tournament right
now? He should come to Korea.
Now, I need you to
I
need you to
let's do that.
Let's see if this changes your opinion.
6.7k MMR player, though. That's pretty strong. I'll leverage that.
DeMuslim has beaten Cyril. You know that, right?
That is true.
Kind of makes DeMuslim the BlizzCon
champion. So
did
Crank, so...
Yeah, okay. Well...
So would Crank win EU?
Ooh, that's something we have to figure out now. Either he goes to EU or
so DeMuslim will live in your house and Crank will live in DeMuslim's house and we'll figure this shit all out.
House swap.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that was the Gemini Korean Invitational. Of course, Olimoleague number 159. Olimoleague, do you want to tell us about this?
Sure. This was the last weekly of June. The next week will be our June finals. So Sue qualified over Dream to qualify for the June finals next week.
Look how
It
handsome
was
he is
really
in that
cool though,
picture.
because Dream, we didn't really expect Dream would go so far, but he did.
Yeah, a lot of these old names are popping up. Dream's in GSL this season as well, which I guess we got to go over later also.
Yeah.
The groups for that actually were released today as well.
Wow.
So maybe we need to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you much, Olimoleague. All right. ProBots Season 2 from Drexama and Ender Sword is going on. Day 3 of the group stage will be on June 27th. If you're interested in bots, check out twitch.tv/eschamp and eschamp.com. The SC2 Blazing Series Season 2 plays out every Monday on africatv.com/AFTWSC2. Big Boy Parting and Miomeka the Maru Killer have both made it out of Group B. Group C will play in 4 days with Cure, Probe, Nice, and Gogo Joey. The Dutch Starcraft League Nationals 2019 is going on. Qualifier number 2 took place on June 23rd, but ran too long, so they're going to finish it up online. You can catch the games at twitch.tv/DSC League. Starcraft 2's Platinum Heroes. We have a video for this one, so I don't need to say anything.
Wow.
On May 18th and 19th, 2019, we held the first ever Platinum and Diamond Heroes tournaments, where 2 champions emerged from the melee.
There it is. Congrats from Baitylek, and we have crowned the first Platinum Heroes 1 champion. And Toon Dragon GG's out. Friends, there we have it, the grand champion of Diamond Heroes 1.
Over the course of these tournaments, 30 players from a dozen different countries competed in a best-of-3 knockout format before advancing to the best-of-5 finals.
This is the reason we've been here for 14 hours over the last 2 days. It all comes down to this best-of-5.
We are proud to announce that on June 29th and 30th, 2019, the second Platinum and Diamond Heroes tournaments will come to life. If you are ranked Diamond 3 or below, here is your opportunity to prove your worth by battling it out in this tournament. So drop your ladder games and bring your best wacky builds to Platinum Heroes 2. Can you become our next champion?
Oh, that's a good way to advertise your tournament. Better than me reading a little blurb like that. So check that out if you are interested. All right. The Pizza Pie show match, best of 9. Riser took down Starkiller 5-3 and won himself a pizza. Wow. Winner takes all the pizza. We don't have the date for the next one yet, but we'll, of course, as always, keep you updated because this is the real meaning of This Week in StarCraft, is Pizza Pie show matches. All right. In-depth number 13 is tomorrow. We'll start around 2 p.m. KST with myself and No Regret and be focusing on games from GSL Code S Season 2. We have that replay pack, so that's going to be good. Who is the next StarCraft Master? This was a match where all the matchups were played between 2 pro gamers. Beastie Cutie defeated Lambo 5-3, with Lambo winning all of his Zerg games and losing all the other games. So you can check that out on twitch.tv/x5_pig. A Freak World number 40 with Laughing Games and Falcon Paladin had Puck Bomber alive in Solar, with Solar winning the finals over Bomber 4-1. Check it out on africatv.com/Laughing Games. But they weren't done. Africa World show matches with Laughing Games and Falcon Paladin. Super versus Bomber in a best of 9. Bomber won 5-0 over Super. And that was again on africatv.com/Laughing Games. The Alpha Pro Series show match number 89. Starkiller is back. He's playing versus Sinner. I believe that's today. And it's going to be played on africatv.com/AlphaXSC2. All right, on to some general transmissions. More Starkiller. We don't get enough of this guy. It's like Starkiller, Eric. There's just a few people that are all over the place. But it looks like we have a video called "What Is It Like to Play versus Starkiller?" by John Dieter. Yeah, all hail the Pizza King. Check that out. Twitter.com/retired_John.
Just wait for Cole to scroll down here.
Oh, yeah. It's not responding at all.
There's
Hang on a second. Internet's got to catch up with it.
Cobra just said he's not responding. So, how many Cobras are there? I'll scroll down.
We want land. We
power.
want land.
Boo-doo-boo.
The technology is not there yet for this scroll. There we go.
Boo-doo-boo. Go ahead, Dan. There's
All right. Moving on. Esports Bolivia, Torneo Starcraft 2. July 7th, there is a tournament down there. Sign-up period is until the 28th, so you have one more day to sign up. Check it out, facebook.com/Bolivia Esports. Sidestorm show match, true versus special. Well, they need 7 days of streams to be partnered. There's a show match on it. Since our Twitch Sidestorm Gaming channel needs 7 days of streams to be partnered, I've set up a show match. Twitch.tv/Sidestorm Gaming. All right, best of 9 random versus random. Check it out.
Very transparent. At least.
Yeah, it's just too
being very honest about that.
Strangely honest. It's like, well, we have to stream, so here's a show match. It's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, guys, we're gonna make enough content to do what we want to do. Okay, that's cool. All right. There's a national strength competition on June 29th in Yangzhou, China. The 2019 National Fitness Championships ushered in the national finals. In the finals, grassroots masters and folk gods from all over the country will represent their respective provinces. Blizzard Games. In addition to this national strength contest, commentary lineup is also worth looking forward to with Mexed and JBR for StarCraft. Why is this is this like a real strength thing? And it has StarCraft at it?
Well, Maxed's playing in
We
it.
need to have a intervention with Alessandra and be like, you don't have to. This feels like she found a newspaper in a garbage, like in like.
I actually like learning about something completely bizarre like this. If this is like a sports competition that they got StarCraft into, and it's like the strength thing.
You see what Dan's
what
doing
does
again?
StarCraft have to do with strength?
I'm very
interested,
curious about
DJ.
the gal on the lower left-hand side, though. I feel like she's got what it takes.
All right.
Honestly, I'm hyped for the Chinese Maynard down there, personally.
Oh my
Oh
god!
yeah, look at him. Oh my god.
You mean the guy that's next to the Chinese Dan?
Don't be talking trash on Alan, all right?
Oh no!
All
Wow.
right, moving on. Wordy TV
What just
League
happened?
Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament. Wordy is going ahead running this through July 2nd through 8th. Yeah, check it out. A lot of good players, a lot of Korean players in there, and some Europeans as well. It's in cooperation with Blizzard. Infinity Gaming Content Manager. They're looking for a content manager. Check it out if you're interested. All right, some more general transmissions. There is a New York City LAN on July 13th coming up. I believe that this is actually a Brood War LAN, and it's got a ton of signups for it, apparently.
Wow.
So that's super cool. If you're in the area, you definitely want to go check that out. Brood War players are cool.
And afterwards, they will find
vouch.
Korean barbecue. By the way. Says it right there.
Yes, of course. That's what you have to do if you go to a StarCraft event is go eat Korean food, which is very annoying to me. Living in Korea, and then I fly to America and was like, let's go eat overpriced, less good Korean food. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. That's exactly what I want to do when I'm in America for 5 days a year. All right.
Don't worry, Dan.
Anyways,
we're gonna go to Disneyland. We'll do all the good stuff.
I can't wait. All right. So check that out if you're in the area of New York City. Also, WCG 2019 is coming up. And there is something that you can register for to play against or with one of your favorite programmers, Neeb, Maru, Rainer, or Cyan. And if you're lucky enough to win, you'll get to do that. I don't know if you actually have to be there. Go check out the link yourself.
They
All
corrected
right.
us last time. You do, and you get an all expenses paid trip. I thought, at least
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
actually
awesome.
get flown over to play in this.
Damn. That's really worth signing up. Everyone should do that.
And before it's like everyone signing up to play with like Neeb, Maru, and Rainer, and like no one for Cyan. That'd be awkward.
Well, that's how you get yourself the trip. Is you're like, oh, I'm the big Cyan fan, please. They're like, okay, what race does he play? You're like, oh.
I wasn't prepared.
Moving onwards, the 4th WESG StarCraft 2 hot registration. It looks like they've already announced. That's great. So WESG coming back. Yeah, I guess some of the Chinese ones are starting up, and the open registration date is June 25th. So there you go.
You made this-
It says WCG everywhere, but then WESG at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's WESG, this one, right? So there's WCG going on and WESG for next year.
This
Dan,
is
read
also
it.
WCG.
Read the panel there, bud.
Oh, wait, where are we?
WCG returns after a 6-year hiatus.
Yeah. No, I see that one. Okay.
And down
But
at the
below
bottom,
that one.
selection process. WCG will select 4 fans based on answers to reasons for participating in My Starcraft Story.
I think we need a refresh on that document. But we do have registration for WESG as well.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, moving on.
Send yourself to China.
Cheesadelphia. Yes. Cheesadelphia, play for 10K. You can register July 27th and 28th. You register at lobby.gg. And that's going to be in Denver. So they're moving out of their normal area. Really super cool. It's going to be giving 2 WCS North American Challenger seeds. Cheesadelphia, just an awesome tournament series. Have you ever gone to one of those yet, Jeff?
No.
Gemini, have you gone?
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them. They're super sick, honestly. I can only go to the ones in Philly, obviously, because I can't go to the farther ones. But like they're really good. They have a super nice homegrown like kind of family vibe there. So like if you go, then you're like you're immediately, you feel like you're part of the crowd. It's great.
Ravi says it's his favorite event he's ever been to, and he's been to BlizzCon.
Yeah, it seems like the old days is what that seems like.
It really gets a really good vibe of just a bunch of people coming together to play some open bracket StarCraft.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think
Cool
Ravi
stuff.
actually made a video about it once, and I watched it, and I was like, wow.
I remember this.
Yeah.
So guys, definitely check that out. Support Cheesadelphia. It is fantastic. Okay, this week in Brood War. Oh my.
Wow.
What a great picture of me.
Look at that picture of that guy.
Look at that guy right there. Can you believe that he won a
you?
StarCraft 1 tournament?
Is that you with your back brace on, or is it just after you took it off? I can't...
That is me melting into a puddle on the couch. This was right before we went live, you and I, at BlizzCon with the Pylon show. Anyways, the Corrupted Cup is going on. We've talked about that in previous weeks. It's a big event like WCG without Korean players. It's going to be taking place in Russia. Artosis ended up winning the North American qualifier.
Isn't TY2 pretty good?
We'll go to Russia. Yeah, he's one of the best Americans.
What's his MMR?
Oh, I don't know. America, you can't really talk about MMR in StarCraft 1 because if you don't live in Korea, it's just inflated because you play a lot of foreigners. So I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, he's a good player.
Pretty sick.
Did you cheese him?
No, he cheesed me.
Fucking dishonorable player, Jesus.
Well, anyways, that's coming up, and we'll keep you
You're going to Russia, huh, buddy?
updated on it. I am going to Russia for a StarCraft tournament, man. I'm very, 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 very excited about it.
Very cool.
It's been a while since I've won a tournament in anything, so that was great. But we had some other qualifiers as well: Ghost Shot, Decomcirrus, Oya, Maddenho, and Terror. And we have some direct invites and stuff. Anyways, we'll go over it more in the coming weeks as the rest of the qualifiers finish up. And a great tournament will be had in Russia in October. All right, the STPL Grand Finals. Soul Gaming versus White Clan. That's going to be on June 30th. And the third, fourth place match is going to take place as well. Net Wars against IRK. A lot of great Korean and non-Korean players going up against each other. Check it out on Kix SD on Twitch. All right. Esports Bolivia, again, another tournament on June 30th. They're having a StarCraft Remastered tournament. Check it out. Facebook.com/Bolivia Esports. The Undermine Podcasts. The guests this week are Antigua, Jaegers, and McRave. If you're interested in StarCraft 1 bots, this is what you want to listen to. Check it out on makingcomputerdothings.com. This week in Awesome, we had a ridiculously funny and awesome video from Fear Dragon. You definitely want to check this out. It's on Reddit. I tweeted it. It's in the show notes. So check that one out. It's pretty long, so I don't think we'll play it here.
And it'll get flagged for copyright stuff because it's got all that in it.
That happens. That happens as well. But it is awesome. You put it up on Dropbox so you can see it. Very, very well made video. And I believe it is accurate as to what's going to occur. Anyways, WCS and Super Tournament search games by unit comps from Mina, Osgen, and Furnath. Kind of interesting. You get to choose build orders and see what people are doing. If you want to check that out, rootforroot.com. All right, StarCraft 2 birthdays. Happy birthday to Alex007. He is a commentator over in, I believe he's Ukrainian, or is he Russian?
Oh, what's the difference?
Well, happy birthday to Alex, a very high-level random player in Europe that does a lot of commentary. I know he's got a lot of fans out there, so cheers. Also, this week in Awesome, coming July 10th for StarCraft Remastered is the Carbot skins, so you definitely want to check that out. Yeah, I believe Cadenzi made a video at the Blizzard office of all the different skins. If you want to check that, not sure exactly where that is, but probably Cadenzi's channel. Also, all the building skins from the war chest are in the store. If you were foolish enough to not get the war chest and or too lazy to unlock all the skins, now is your chance to support StarCraft 2 and get some awesome building skins. Also this week in Awesome, we have the Vorazun Nerazim bundle. This is just about connecting your Prime account to Twitch. And as always, remember, this is an amazing picture. Remember to send us in your information. Send it to Cobra Venom or the Pylon Show on Twitter.
Oh my God.
Don't send it to Artosis. It won't help you. He'll tell you the wrong time for the show, and he won't even tell anyone that you talk to him. So do it. That's the end of This Week in StarCraft.
Well done, sir. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I just said fuck you in control in the chat. I'm like, nice.
I agree.
Whatever's got you down, my friend. Listen, it'll eventually decide. Okay. All right. Let's do our first topic here: the general history of the Olimoleague. We've talked a lot about this. We cover it almost every episode. You've been doing just a ton of content. You've had different commentators. You've been doing this for a long time. I mean, where do you want to start with this? Tell us about it, please.
Well, Olimoleague actually started when I was team manager for Axiom under Total Biscuit. What we were facing was, during that time in the Korean Starcraft 2 scene, was after players were knocked out of GSL, they didn't have anything to really participate in that was actually on Korean servers at a time for Korea. So that's where I kind of came in and was like, well, why don't I just fill in this gap that we obviously need? And that's basically how Olimoleague started. And
had you run terms before that?
I only ran like one in-house tournament, really. I did some admin work too, but it was nothing like actually running my own tournament. This was like my first opportunity getting it off the ground or having it financed as well, without actually having like a prize pool set up.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of guidance from Total Biscuit about that. You know, he was like, well, maybe you can try this, maybe you can try that. And eventually we landed on something that turned out to be really great, which was Patreon.
Very cool. That's how it started. Damn.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you lean in and go.
Well, I all right. Well, I'm getting my interviewer face on right now.
Good.
Well, this is kind of like a dual topic in a way, because I feel like Olimoleague has been such an important part of the Korean scene, because it is kind of that bridge. It's that extra thing. It's like, it's also the best replay pack that you can get publicly. You subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Olimoleague. And like, I've been doing it since like I heard that you could do it, and it used to be like $15 for the replay pack or something, but now it's like $5. I don't know, but
yeah.
It is amazing if you're trying to get better and you want good replays to watch. It's like just the best thing that you can do with your money, basically. But this is the one place where I feel like I can always look and then know who the up and coming Koreans are, but there's not many, and
right.
that is a problem that we bring up occasionally on the show, right? Because if you look at the EU and NA scenes, we consistently have some new guys coming up, right? We have them popping up Future and Estrella and NA right now. And I mean, Europe, we've got so many good up-and-comers like Goblin and Clem and Raynor and all this. But even though like Olimoleague gives these players something to do to come up, first, I guess it's a two-part thing. Like, who have you seen kind of rising up? And what more do you think could be done to help with that? Because it seems like the only thing that's like reasonable for amateurs is that. Other than that, some of them will go to a GSL qual and just get killed in 2 rounds, and that's it.
Well, so for a while we used to have Gyulsing, who was just a Korean amateur player, participate almost every week. And then he was actually improving and getting somewhere. He wasn't actually getting knocked out in the first round. But it's as you say, like, we don't actually see a lot of new people at all. Or we'll see players that will join or participate, and then they realize, oh, well, I can't beat any of these people, and then they just won't show up. Or they'll use Olimoleague as an opportunity just to play against the pro that they like, or just any pro, just for that experience. And that's also great too. But it's also very, very hard to find a place where we can have a tournament for, players that get knocked out of GSL, and then at the same time have a tournament where up-and-comers can actually grow. And that's a very, very hard balance that Olimoleague kind of does, but not really. And it's a little hard to say what can be done. Like, if I make another tournament for amateurs, would that actually give them the experience they need, as opposed to them just coming and playing versus pro players? So that was a question for a very long time.
Another interesting thing with that is, are there even enough players that would sign up for those things to play, like specifically Korea? Because like, I feel like a lot of the arguments against making a whole new Code A league, right? You see on Reddit a bunch of times, people always say, like, just reintroduce Code A, bring Code A itself back, instead of now where it's like the qualifiers are known as Code A. But then people always say, are there even enough people that you could actually fill up a whole nother tournament of just the league below what is now Code S? Because I think the main issue here is that there's not enough players and not enough new Korean talent that actually wants to try and do that. It just seems like it's not as interested, or like the interest is not there compared to years prior.
Well, there's been amateur tournaments run by Africa TV, and there's also been tournaments that have been run online for Korean amateurs. But they face a lot of issues, like, okay, so how do they go from winning an amateur tournament to getting into Code A or Code S? There's still that gap between them, and it's a little bit, it's like a puzzle trying to figure out, like, how do we close that? And at the same time, even if we do bring back Code A now, next year we're going to be losing like 5 pro players. Like, people that were born in 1992, they have to go to the military next year. So we're going to be seeing like a chunk of like the Code S players we have now going off for 2 years and maybe not coming back.
Yeah, actually, I saw a chart of military dates, like expected military dates for everyone leaving. And it seems that by like 2021, we're going to lose about half of the regular Code S players. So it becomes this kind of, I'm almost like surprised that we don't see more of the high level amateurs playing in Olimoleague. Like, sure, there's some, but like Prince or Natural or something. But what is Code S going to look like at that point if, in the next 2 years we lose approximately half of the top end players? Is it just going to become this weird, I don't know, like it seems like something needs to be done. Or what this reminds me of right now, StarCraft 2 in Korea, is a little bit like Warcraft 3 or something, where like all the top players and they're all really great and they keep improving and getting better, but who's the guys below that?
Yeah.
Prince, natural.
Right?
Well, so here's the thing. So people suggest bringing back Code A. Would we even need Code A? Next year, how do we even, can we even say like Code S was the same tier as it was last year?
If you lose too many pros, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Those are those big questions.
Yeah, it's a weird, like we actually just don't know what we can expect at this point because losing that many players, and they're high level players too. It's not like, Classic is one of those players that's going to have to leave. That is the potential best Protoss in the world right now. Like, how are we just losing these types of tier players and then going into GSL next year and being, we know what it's going to look like. Yeah, all these new players, they can just kind of fill in the spots. It's going to be the exact same. Like, that's not going to just feel the same, right?
Well, we also have players that are coming back.
That's true.
But they're obviously that lower tier, right? They're not actually at the level that they were at before. So it still kind of leaves that, like, maybe there's a nostalgia aspect there, but how much is nostalgia going to go when they can't even break round of 32?
I think it's interesting though, because it's I guess my questions are a little bit more big picture on this topic. Like, we lose these really highly skilled players. Do I think the GSL dips in viewership? I don't think so. Classic, do I think he's a big draw? He's like literally the best Protoss in the world. Is there people that are like, well, if Classic's not playing, I don't care? I don't think so. Not really. I mean, of course, there's a guy on Reddit right now writing out an essay. So yes, there's like the 2 or 3 of those guys. But I don't actually think of... I think it would have to be more systemic and devastating to get an actual impact. Like, there needs to be... They cut the prize pool on top of this. And then there's also, like, they're having trouble filling up qualifiers. Like, if that ever happens where, like, not enough people show up and there's a draw or a bye or like a random guy in the round of 32 or something like that, then I think you start to see like an image problem where the GSL is not what, because the GSL thrives on being the tournament, right? So I do think what we're talking about starts to chip at that, but by itself I'm not too worried because I think it's easy to spin. It's like, this is this guy's first time here and you wouldn't believe in the qualifier that he did this, or like Taja's come back and finally qualified, or there is ways to spin things positively, but if it starts to be more of a like, people are just not showing up and we can't do it. And I think that
one extremely positive thing that we can say about the Korean scene right now is that because of the Chinese team league that happened this year, Koreans, there's like only, before we had a problem where there was no teams for Koreans. Now Koreans are like a hot commodity. Like, they're being picked up and they're actually getting some really good salaries.
In the Chinese scene?
Just to play in that Chinese team league. Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really, like, this is my plea to like the Korean amateurs that don't obviously speak English, but I'm saying y'all guys should stick with it because some really good opportunities. And the salary scene for Korean programmers is pretty good right now.
Wow.
So
that weird Chinese resurgence we've been having in the last couple, like year, I guess. But so it's supposed to be the history of the Olimoleague, and I think we'll get back on track with that with this interesting topic. But you're kind of a vocal and plugged into this as well. But one of the several comments in the chat, but also something we've seen: what if more foreigners went to the GSL? I know there's some animosity with that, right? Like, it feels like foreigners taking occupying spaces that Koreans otherwise would be having. Would that be a possible conflict, or how do you see that being resolved?
Well, it's a little bit of, well, in general, it's just unfair, isn't it? Because your WCS is basically saying, hey, okay, well, Koreans, you can't play in WCS events without a visa. You actually have to live in the country too. But by the way, any foreigner that wants to come to Korea, hey, you can play in anything you want. Before, they had this rule in the WCS rulebook where they said, hey, if you're going to stay in Korea and there's a conflicting date, then you cannot play in WCS. But then they suddenly just changed that. And that's kind of just it makes people wonder, okay, well, then what's the real drawback of doing that? So if I'm Korean and I want to be a Korean pro gamer, like, I'm already at a disadvantage on the amount of tournaments that I can play.
It's such a tough one because if you think about, you have to think about it on so many levels where it's like the health of the Korean scene, but also the health of the scene overall. Like there's no question that, for instance, Scarlet and Special getting into GSL it's good for GSL. It's good for the scene in general. And to be fair, they've lived out here for so long that it seems like if anyone has a problem with that, they're being kind of weird about it, I think. But
well, did Koreans take issue with Scarlet and others Special competing in there, or were they more accepted?
Well, there was that Solar tweet, right, when he's like collectively said as the voice of the Korean players that they thought it was unfair that they could do that, and it got like a lot of traction, and people thought that was the reason why Special or someone wasn't playing in the qualifiers the next season or something like that, I think. But that's not that wasn't apparently the case. I don't remember the exact story behind it, but there's some sentiment on the Korean side apparently that is unfair.
Yeah, just quickly for the record, the reason why he didn't play in those qualifiers was that weird rule about Challenger.
Yeah.
That only was in existence for season 1 and then got withdrawn. So only Scarlet was affected by that in season 1.
Well, I was more asking Olivia, like, as someone that's, you and Crank working a lot with the Korean scene, did specifically Special and Scarlet, were they accepted, or is that still all foreigners?
I mean, it's all foreigners. It doesn't really it's not specific to Scarlet or Special. It's just that Scarlet and Special do happen to qualify.
Yep.
It's a sentiment that they have, just like Gemini said, and eventually it came to the point where one of them spoke out, which was Solar.
Interesting. Well, we're fully off the rails. Do you guys want to talk more about this, or do you want to...
Sorry.
Let's try to get a little bit back on. I mean, it's interesting. I'm glad we talked about it. I'm not, scolding anyone, which is funny. I guess what I would ask you, because you kind of talked about the Olimoleague starting with Axiom and Total Biscuit and kind of beginning there. Long story short, you have since then moved on to be your own thing, and you've been doing it very well with your Patreon and stuff like that. But can you talk a little bit about post Axiom? Like, was it just as simple as you threw together a Patreon and boom, you got yourself a league that's funded and going, or was there some struggles there, or did you have to find ways to finance, or how'd that work?
Well, in the beginning, it was just difficult in general because one, people were not trusting of playing in a tournament where they didn't know where the funding was coming from, or that it would even be paid out, because there at that time there was always the situation of hey, we're making a tournament, play in it. People would play in it, and then they would be like, okay, well, where's when am I getting my money? And so there was a lot of groundwork that had to be done first, which was I think there was a lot of credibility because one, I was a team manager, and two, it was like something that was actively promoted by Axiom itself. I had my players playing in it because that was kind of the reason why I made it. And then I always made sure to, make sure that the players were played as soon as possible. And so eventually, once that foundation was built where they were like, okay, well, this is a legit thing. I know I'm going to get paid from it. I know it's going to be at this time, at this place. And all they really need from me is my PayPal and my replays. That's when it kind of grew, where we were seeing we had more higher, I don't want to say higher tier, but more popular players joining. And then eventually from there, it grew traction. And as, even after I left Axiom, it was still going on, because even though I started it with Axiom, it eventually became its own separate thing. The reason why we made it was because of Axiom and because I was seeing the problem there, but it wasn't tied to Axiom.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any goals for the future of Olimoleague? Because it's been so steady and solid. You've got, I've seen you do little things like that offline thing at G-Star. I believe you had the final there, and then obviously you have monthly finals and then the tournament every week. You're up to like number 160 as far as tournaments go, which is just madness. It's over 3 years of weekly tournaments. But do you have like an aspiration to make it bigger? Are you happy and content just keeping it where it's at and helping the scene like that? Or how's that go?
I had a lot of like back and forth about that, because a lot of the special stuff that we did, you know, the offline tournament at G-Star, or where we had it at VSL when it was a thing, they had an offline studio for each monthly final. Those were things that weren't in addition to the Patreon. So it was Twitch coming up and saying, hey, we would love to do this for Olimoleague. We think it's a great thing. That's awesome. Let's do this. So it's hard for me to say, yes, I want to do this, or yes, I want to do that with the Patreon money, because it is, you know, Patreon money. I would have to basically make sure that everybody would be okay for me to use it that way. If I wanted to make like such a big event, that would require me saying, okay, well, I want to take this money now, save it up, and then I want to make this tournament. And that in itself becomes a lot of responsibility. That's like a lot of people I would have to be answering to if I did that, who would say, well, I actually just wanted the weekly replays, but if you're not going to be doing the weekly replays anymore because you were saving up all this money for this, well, I don't really want to subscribe anymore, you know? So in terms of Olimoleague, changing it up, I don't really see that happening, because I just want it to be consistent, which was the whole goal of it anyways, to be consistent, to be there whenever people needed it. And if the money goes up, the money goes up. If it goes down, it goes down.
I was actually secretly hoping you would say that. I love the consistency of every week having a nice new replay pack fresh to watch.
Yeah.
The tryhards are quite happy with that, yes.
Amazing service. Well, okay. I think I mean it's just it's a nice wholesome story of a great league that is just continuing on to now. We say this every week, but what is your Patreon for that? It's
Patreon/Olimoleague.
Olimoleague, right there, just like her Twitter. So check it out. Maynard is commentating it a whole bunch, but we've seen guest appearances from all kinds of people. I know that Rifkin did it in the past. We had Fear Dragon there. It's just a good thing. So is that good for you? Is there anything else you want to talk about with it, or?
No, it's
excellent.
It's very, very like neat and tied up in a bow kind of thing.
Well, we'll move on. I do got to say the sexual tension between Gemini and Dan right now is palpable, and it's
real.
Yeah, I think it's something.
I'm wearing my favorite hat, Jeff. You
I was
have no
gonna
idea.
say, yeah. I'm just so glad he didn't wear the same fucking hat that I'm wearing. That would have just put it.
It's on the door right behind me. It's hanging out.
Right next to his notes that he fake puts up there. Managing Korean tournaments. Now, who submitted this topic? Who did it?
Oh, this was the paragraph that you read.
No, it's
right?
not.
No, that's different.
Oh, well, no, that was kind of covered, though. That was like part of the talking of... But Gemini has done a few, so maybe he has thoughts on this as well.
He wrote a story. We'll get to that in a minute. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah. I mean, is this a topic, Gemini? Do you have a story to tell us about?
I don't know. Other than just like I've started doing it with my invitational, just bringing in like managing tournaments through.
Yeah.
Getting people in. I don't know. It doesn't go off too much more than what we kind of already talked about.
I'm gonna live produce this one. I'm gonna be like, no, that's done. Dan's the super nice guy. He's like, Gemini, you want to talk about how you're managing Korean tournaments now? I'm like, I think this will be a weird topic where he's like, yeah, it's hard to talk to Koreans sometimes, and we'll be like, yeah. And then,
that's why I have Hodge in there to do it for me.
Exactly. And I'm just like, that's the topic. We're like, whoa, white guys struggling in Korea. Anyways, that's done. Let's do, before we get to Gemini's paragraph story, epic, let's do the Home Story Cup groups. Hopefully Cobra has that picture prepared. So while he's pulling that up, for those of you that don't know, Home Story Cup is going live tomorrow. I believe it's groups like A and B that are playing. There's some lovely people there. Of all the usual group, you've got Rotterdam Todd, some kind of weirdness with the Muslim. He's either like commentating or not really. He talked about it on a stream. I think he thought he was getting paid, but in like really amazingly classic Home Story Cup fashion, they absolutely tried to get him to send himself there and then work 20-hour days for free. And I love that happened. A little bit of me's proud. If Home Story Cup could trick Dan to get there and can't commentate for free, and then at the end Dan's like, all right, so here's my mailing address. They're like, for what, mate? And he's like, for my paycheck. And I was like, there ain't no paycheck coming, my friend. They would. So anyways, I think Cobra's still looking... That's not the groups, Cobra. This is the players. Do you have the groups, my dude?
I linked in our little chat.
Yeah.
The Wikipedia.
We'll pull that up real quick here. And we'll talk about the groups.
I feel like, gosh, I almost feel like, I mean, if the Muslim's going, maybe we should just like kick TY out of the tournament because he's a caster now too, but the Muslim's better than Cure, so maybe he should just play in Group C.
I wish we had this clip because it's not just Cure that Rotterdam said. Like the Muslim, Kevin literally said the Muslim is top 12 Terran in the world. And he said he's better than like a lot of the Korean Terrans that people name. He was like,
no, bless us.
Gumio, he was like, I think he's better than Gumio, actually.
Oh, he's better than Gumio.
Yeah.
Shit.
Damn.
That's really good. That's really good. Because Gumio's top 4 Terran in the world.
It was a good moment for me, because I was like, this is... Because Kevin's the historian of StarCraft, but what he has more than his memory of StarCraft is a raging boner for some of his friends in StarCraft. And he's like, yeah, I think they could probably take on... I mean, he beat Cyril, man. He took a game off of Cyril on the ladder. Numbers don't lie. All right, now we got the groups.
There we go.
So Group A, Raynor, Solar, Lambo, Harsum, Creator, Clem, Inzane, Snoot. It's a very good group. I'm going to openly ask, so this is one of the topics as we analyze these groups, is who is going to get the No Regret Award for, like, this player should never make it out, or should never not make it out, but then they don't make it out?
That's a good question.
Tough one.
Let me take a look.
It's not Solar here, by the way. He does make it out.
I think it's Snoot.
What? It has to be a Korean.
No, he's not even favored in this group. What are you talking about?
No, I thought it's like the he should never... Wait, what is it?
You don't know what the No Regret
Snoot
Award
might
is?
make it out of the group. The No Regret Award is the player that absolutely should make it out but doesn't make it out.
Okay, I remember.
He's so
like,
confident
for sure.
that he
I
would
swept
tell
it.
people
Okay, I got
to
it.
eat a shoe, but he won't. Yeah.
I swapped
It's Sue. It's Sue.
Wow. Well, okay, well, hang on. We'll get to that in a second.
Oh, I thought we were doing it for one each group.
No, just one. Just one No Regret
No,
Award.
just one overall. One overall. You don't want four rewards.
Clem's been on a tear, by the way. Keep your eye on him. How good is Creator? I feel like, I mean, he's here.
He's good now.
He's decent.
How the hell did he
I
get
would
to
say
Germany?
he's too.
Who sent Creator?
Well, I mean, he's on Jin Air, right? So, I mean, that's literally an airplane sponsor.
There you go.
Right?
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
We got a plane.
Oh,
All right.
I mean, he's good enough to make a top 8 here. It's possible. I'm not saying that he will. He's been playing better though.
Oh. Okay, so I think it's Raynor Solar that tear up this group. I think Harsum's way up there. He's been showing good results. And then it's tough, right? Because it's like 4 advanced from every group, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. 4 get out.
That's a tough-ass group, my dudes, because Lambo's been showing better results. I do think, unfortunately, Snoot and Inzane are pretty dunzo in there. And I love Snoot. I'm not saying this because I don't, he's taking a more casual approach. He's still very good. He's high up in the ladder. But he loses to the Muslim. See him drop games to Muslim all the time. But everyone does, to be fair.
Well, I thought the Muslim was a top 12
I know.
Terran.
Just all these guys lose to the Muslim, actually. Raynor, Solar, Harsum, probably. And then that 4th one's tough. I mean, it's like Creator
Are you
and Lambo.
kidding
right?
me that you're not saying Lambo right now?
No, I just did. Lambo Creator. But then
Oh,
Clem,
okay.
too, dude. Clem's been tearing it up.
He's good. He's good. He's been playing well. I think it's going to be a very Zergy group right there. 3 Zergs and a Protoss.
Olivia,
Pretty
does
sure.
Creator
Wouldn't
get
it
out
be
of there?
Europe without a massive swarm of Zerg, would it not?
What?
It wouldn't be Europe without a massive swarm of Zerg. Everyone in Zerg, or everyone in Europe is good at Zerg, right?
That's
There's
right.
like 4 Zergs in every group.
There's 16 Zergs and 8. There's literally 2 times, or like add up all the others and you get all the Zergs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They're just hardworking. It's really tough to play Zerg right now. Olivia, does Creator make it out of there? Top 4?
I'm guessing either Creator, Lambo, or Clem.
Yeah.
Taking that 4th spot.
I agree. And it's going to be tough. That'll be a fun group to watch. You can see it starts in 9 hours, everybody. 9 hours. So after this, you get your ass to bed, wake up, and start watching Homestory Cup. Group B, obviously Cyril. But look how jam-packed this group is. Stats, who I'm going to forget that Jim and I said Classic's the best Protoss in the world, while Stats is right here on our screen. Like, I can't even believe you did that. But then I would say there's a separation here. It's like Cyril, incredible. Stats, incredible. Euthermal's been destroying it. And again, no disrespect, but then there's a pretty big drop-off, right? Like, DNS, we've seen highs and lows from. He's either, like, one of the scariest Protoss in Europe or just kind of bounces out. Sort of's an enigma. Like, he looks amazing sometimes. He's been in Korea for literally 17 years or something like that. He is the most handsome guy in this group, I'll say that. And I think Cyril's a good-looking dude. Sort of has transformed full Sweden. Then there's Dario. Do we think? No. Dario's...
No.
Risky,
I mean,
the C
would like
champion?
to see it. Risky's been in Korea for a while, so his skills should have gone up some.
Yeah.
But is it enough to win in
definitely
the
an underdog.
OCS region? Who knows?
No, yeah, it's tough.
I wouldn't be surprised if that group just ends up being what the preview is right now. Like,
Yeah.
sort of DNS are kind of the interchangeable 4th. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised at that.
Yeah, Stats Cyril will have it on lock. It's that 4th one that's like kind of a question, but yeah, DNS should have it mostly.
I want to point something out real quick.
Do it.
I was just looking at these groups.
Yeah.
We have the potential. It's very unlikely because some of the Zergs are big underdogs in their groups, but we do have potential of the group stage advancing 15 Zergs and then one other player. And I want to see it happen. That Zest is the only player that advances. It's not a Zerg. And then all 15 Zergs complain about his warp prisms. That's what I want to see. Anyways.
I actually have to say, if I was at the event, this would be like sacrilegious, and I would hate Dan for saying that. But as a guy that's going to be at home and can choose not to be a part of that, I do want that. I want to see day 3 Rotterdam on the couch between Eon Blue and TLO commentating his 19th ZVZ in a row, with a drunk German swaying behind him like, Roddy, take your shirt off. Kevin gets up and just punches him right in the face. That'll be a fun group, but I think a little bit of separation. Group C, TY, Showtime, Elaser, Bunny, Hellraiser, Namshur, Hate Me, Eon Blue. I think this is another group that, Eon Blue, 0% chance. Hate Me, very good. European ladder player, 0% chance. Namshur, you don't hear his name as much, but there was definitely a time where he was... he won a WCS qualifier, for Pete's sakes. Like, he's been... Or he at least took second to Sarah. I can't remember what it was a while ago, but very good. Hellraiser was kind of on the rise, but then cooled off a little bit. It's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah,
the group seems a little bit straightforward. It seems like that 4th spot is maybe... Well, it seems like TY and Showtime 100% should get out of that group,
and Elaser,
right?
and Bunny.
Yeah.
Bunny, I don't know.
Get the fuck out.
Well, I feel like
Hellraiser
and Namshar can do the upsets. Yeah.
Bunny he didn't qualify for this season of GSL. I don't think he was in last season of GSL even. Let me look.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he
didn't qualify for a GSL, can't make it out of Home Story Cup group. That's Gemini's perspective.
I mean, with the group of players like Showtime, TY, Laser, like Namshar honestly could maybe even do some stuff. Like, I would not be surprised. I still kind of think he will, but I would not be surprised if he gets 5th, to be honest.
That's kind of crazy, actually. I didn't realize he hadn't qualified this season for GSL. That is 2 seasons where he missed, and that's coming off of his best GSL ever the season before, right? So
he has done literally nothing in 2019.
Okay, you said
I looked at the results
literally
pages,
nothing
actually.
in 2019, which is...
There's not a single result on the 2019 part. It's pretty crazy. Oh, wait.
Every time someone says literally, and they use it that way, a huge part
Oh, wait,
of my
no,
heart.
never mind. I lied. I looked at it wrong. I looked at it wrong. Ignore me.
This is the European hipster group, though, because I can see it in the chat, too. They're like, no, Hellraiser, he's the guy. Namshur, he'll do it. I think it'd be very disappointing if TY, Showtime, or Laser specifically, if those guys are in the top 4, if something big happens, which would be a Home Story Cup special. But you guys are crazy for thinking Bunny doesn't make out there. Olivia, are they just being racist? You can say yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I agree. You guys are racist. Okay, so Group D, Sue, Zest, Hero Marine, Petit Drogo, and then in my opinion, the best filler, Soul, Xanster, Stefano, Kaz.
Yeah, that's a good group. I like this group.
Stefano's been on a bit of a hiatus, not streaming as much, not competing. He's a guy that buries himself in school every once in a while, and he did that.
Which is too bad, because he's finally in a group that doesn't have only Zerg players in it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen him play anything but ZVZ in like 2 years.
Yeah. He will somehow make his way out of this, probably, is what ends up happening. Like, no one will pick him, but he will, and then he'll hit a Zerg in the playoff part, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
I guess
My
not.
question is, how many times will Soul not GG at the end of his games? That's the real thing.
Xeno GG'er, that one?
Oh, no, not at all.
Does he give single Gs ever?
Maybe. I saw there was a funny Hearthstone clip where Hearthstone was beating him in a practice game, and he said, if he no GGs this time, then he's losing a practice partner. I'm never playing with him again. He needs to learn or something like that. And he didn't GG like right after he said that. So
Damn.
yeah, there's a bit of a reputation there, it seems.
Yes, he lost a practice partner. Petit Drogo has been showing good results. Hero Marine has evolved to become an even, like everyone had talked about it as a top European Terran, but now it's something else. I think this could be the year of Hero Marine.
Is he better or worse than the Muslim at Terran?
Worse, but not by
Okay,
a lot.
I'm just checking. Yeah.
I
also better than
I have it on good. I have it on good word that Hero Marine almost respects the Muslim. That's how good the Muslim is.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually more impressive than beating Cyril, to be honest.
Absolutely it is. Yeah, it's way up there. But then there's like Cass, very good player, been huge on the European ladder, but I don't see him making out of this. Xanster is always a wild card. It's kind of a question of how sober he'll be for his matches at the Story Cup. He always beats
That's
people.
kind of how I'm feeling about Stefano too.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They're the spoils, right? Like Stefano can beat anyone except for Sue. Or he could lose to anybody in that group, and that's just kind of random. I think the same as Xanster, only Xanster's got better ZVZ, obviously, but tough. And then Zest got to make it out. Zest is the Home Story Cup Korean champion. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm. It seems like they almost pre-sorted these brackets. I feel like the top 4 that I see everywhere is basically the top 4 of the groups.
Kind of, yeah.
So we can just fill in numbers how we want here and just advance those guys.
Yeah.
Someone in the
Save a
chat can
bunch of
correct
train
me, but I
tickets.
believe Naruto just put these together. Like it's not seeded or anything like that. He just has the names. He said this will balance out the groups type of thing, which I'm completely fine with. Except for Group C is 4 Zergs, which is pretty funny. But when you got 15 Zergs out of 32 players, something like that, it's what do you do?
It's half Zerg actually, because there's a group with 5 Zergs in it. So there are 16 Zergs out of 32 players.
Yep. And 8 of each of the others.
Did you guys hear that if Zerg plays well, they can't lose? I don't know if you guys heard this. It's going around on the Twitter. I don't know.
Okay. Cobra's got some nice meme photos. Home Story Cup, always good with that. We'll show that up on screen here. Color restored photo of Petit Drogo after months of fighting Terran in preparation for HSC. That does kind of look like him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Man's not hot. All right.
Nice.
Set for my train.
What?
I think Rifkin's got a lot of free time on his hands,
Yeah.
huh?
He spent none of it on being funny. It's crazy.
Oof. Ouch. Owie.
I'm just kidding. Hmm.
Wow, did Rainer get the parting glasses? Is that what I just saw there?
This is a scathing episode because Olivia will not laugh at anything. Gemini is deadpan, and Dan's in a quiet mood. So I'm just like, and I've actually have an open wound on my crotch that I'm trying to ignore. And you guys are doing me no favors. It's like they show a picture, and I'm like, I guess Jeff's got to make an audible laugh because Dan's just not going to say anything. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming out.
You're welcome, Jeff. Always
All
here
right.
for you, buddy.
So those are the Mimi pictures.
I'm just gonna mute my microphone for the next 3 minutes.
You did it already? Holy shit! We
Twitch chat laugh for us, please.
We talked about up and comers in Korea. I feel like, is there anything we want to add to that for a topic, or do we get to the Gemini epoch here?
Well,
not really. A lot of the stuff that we said was, there are none, and
yeah,
now is a good time to come back if you want to.
Support the Untitled League. It's on the players, right? Like we're preaching to the choir is the other funny part. It's like, what can we do? It's like, it's not up to us. The players got to show up and want to play.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like a lot of it is up to also if Blizzard is or is not like canning shit next year, because we don't know what the future holds.
Yep.
And if suddenly they just pull the plug and there's no GSL anymore, then that obviously completely throws everything we're saying out the window. So it's hard to even know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, that was the other part of what I was going to say.
To be the Debbie Downer once again.
No, it's a real thing. We kind of talk about it almost every episode, so I try to not necessarily steer us away from it, but it's also like we don't.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It's just there's nothing to say, right? Like we don't know. There's been some bad signs, but then Starcraft's still doing really well. Like the viewership of all the fucking events is still going up. People are still supporting the various different things. So we kind of end up saying the same thing, where it's like, even if they did pull the plug on the GSL, WCS became like an online term or something like that, I still think people like Olivia and Rifkin and some of these others would continue to host their tournaments, and then it would be up to the community to decide if that's where you want to go for your professional viewership, because the publisher won't always do it. So we've been there before. Brugor fans will tell you they spent many years watching non-Blizzard supported tournaments. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So let's get to the Gemini topic, and I'll read it out one more time here.
I have such a more structured version of it now.
More structured than this?
Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
Sure?
We don't have time for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got to get to the quick Q&A in an hour and a half or so. So please. So Gemini's topic is current team house / solo environment is and how it differed from the past could be interesting. I know Artosis likes talking about coaching / sports psychology stuff, and I'm kind of curious to talk about that in the current environment of teams, StarCraft 2, and how teams now are basically just personal sponsorships than anything else outside of Jin Air. So that's, thank you. Are you kind of talking about the breaking up of team houses, where it's basically now there's players that do room together? There are some team houses, I guess, but mostly it's up to the individual to train.
Yeah, kind of just I just feel like there's this even not in Korea, right, where you have the general feeling that teams don't feel like they exist anymore in StarCraft. Yeah. They simply kind of just sponsor a player. They're kind of just on the team. There's no actual team houses in Europe or NA anymore. There's not a feeling of cohesiveness, yes, I guess, because there's no team leagues anymore either, except for the new Chinese team leagues, which we can even touch on a tiny bit, I guess. But I kind of found it interesting how there's this feeling that teams don't really exist in StarCraft anymore, other than Jin Air and some other ones, and how they are basically personal sponsorships only. At least that's my viewpoint on it. Just kind of felt like we can talk about that.
Yeah. So I think. Go ahead.
And then going off of that, I know also just the idea of coaching in general with that, because that kind of goes along with teams. Teams are together, they're in a house, they coach, they have coaches, they have sports psychologists there to help. That's a huge thing in League, Overwatch right now, but it's obviously not here in StarCraft at all, because that setup is not there. And I'm curious as to if that's even something that is really necessary in StarCraft. If we've had it a little bit in the past, we can kind of just jump around a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for
These are kind of my general thoughts on this.
I think one of the reasons I really like this topic is it's been an interesting learning experience, I think, for all of esports from the StarCraft scene specifically. You go back to 2012 and before and slightly after, there was a huge team atmosphere. There was team rivalries and Team Liquid versus EG, for instance, and the Korean team leagues and that kind of thing. And it was a huge part of the identity of StarCraft. And it was important for reasons I think that at the time we didn't give a lot of credit for. Did it make players better and they trained better? I think a lot of the cases, yes. But we've also seen that doesn't necessarily have to be the only path to top tierdom. We saw Beyond do it completely by himself, for instance. But of course, then there's the generic example of modern times where they are obviously slaying it because they work really hard. But it had a different thing to get excited about, like when Idra faced Huck or something like that, or and that's a little bit of a worse example, I guess, because Huck eventually became EG. But the point is, there was like another reason to get excited about stuff, and that almost is completely gone. I see KJ in the chat, and to correct, Gemini's not saying there are no team houses and there are no teams, which I know people get prickly about. I guess what we're more saying is there's less of that team excitement. Like if a Tempo Storm or Psystorm guy game is fighting, do people really care? Is there a rivalry there? Not really. What team is Jon Snow on? Can someone tell me?
Psystorm, the one that KJ is.
So Psystorm Gaming, when Jon Snow faced against Future, what team's Future on?
Infinity.
Does that matter?
I did leave Infinity.
Anyone care about that at all?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to hate.
Kind of my point
there's nobody to blame. It's just an interesting thing that fell out. And I think actually part of the reason why team dynamics went away was because the era of MLG and DreamHacks and individual tournaments where you can get excited about the team aspect, and then of course team leagues, is no longer amongst us, right? Like, it was a big deal when Slayers sent 6 of their players to that MLG. That was a huge deal. And everyone that hit every Slayer player, it was like an insane thing, right? And then who can forget MMA throwing a Hadouken on stage? That was really exciting and cool stuff like that, but we don't have that anymore because it's kind of hard to feel team excitement when they're going to WCS, in my opinion. WCS is like a little bit too straight-laced of a production, perhaps, or it's more about the player and more about, like, it always has the end game of BlizzCon kind of on the horizon, as opposed to, like, 6 players from this team qualified. Like, whoever says that, right?
Yeah, that's true. Why did it feel so different? Because like during MLG days, I always thought it was very interesting. Like just follow all the EG guys, for instance, and be like, oh, even the lower guys like LZ Gamer Machine or something, right? You're like, oh, okay, a couple of them lost early, and then here's Jeff in the middle and Idra up top or something. But yeah, for like something like WCS, I don't know, the feel overall of the sponsorships, it's like great that people are sponsored.
It's huge. That's the sad part. I'm not to cut you off, but like KJ in the chat, like it's amazing what these guys do, and I'm sorry that it gets talked about like it's not important. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I guess the feel isn't that the teams are actually teams. Like you don't think of these players that are together as practicing together and having a bond for most of them. Jin Air, I guess you do, but it's the only one in Korea. And then there's just there's some human element that's missing, maybe.
You know what though?
I think it's the attachment to the team itself now. Like when In Control was on EG, it was very, very much like you were tied to EG. You had a story with them, and you were also promoting them. Now, when players go and play in WCS or anything like that, it's all about them. Mm-hmm. What's their story? They don't tie it back to their team because oftentimes they're either switching teams so many times or they just aren't connected to their team.
It is an interesting, almost self-fulfilling prophecy because, and I'm going to name some players, but again, I want to stress, I'm not saying they did anything wrong. Like everyone's trying to get paid, whatever. And I don't know their full story, so it's not fair to say, but from the outside looking in, so for someone like Special and Scarlet, I can almost never tell you what team they're on because it feels like every 2 or 3 months they're on a different team. And that's them, again, trying to sustain their career and get paid. But to Olivia's point, for me, what that does is the team is just a check. Like, it's just when they do well, I'm not like, wow, that's good for so-and-so. Like, I cannot even associate the win with their team because even to those players, it's so secondary. Like, the jersey on both those guys changes so much. I have no idea. And again,
to be honest, like half of the time they don't even take pictures with their jersey anymore.
Right.
Or they use just the really old WCS stock photos that they took when they were on X team however long ago.
Bad.
That's another big thing.
That was bad. There's a few WCS challengers where like the picture is literally from 10 years ago with a different team jersey on even.
Yeah.
They were obviously told by 1,000 people immediately, so they hopefully fix that and move forward. But This is a very interesting, and again, I say this from a learning perspective, because it's not even like things can change, by the way. This is not about a conversation where we start to be like, you know what? Let's get Team Liquid to start a team league up. That'll get people excited about teams again, and then that'll reinvigorate everybody, and we'll have teams again. No, it has to be natural. That was kind of the blessing of 2012 era, was like, EG didn't hate Team Liquid. It was mutually beneficial to both of them to be competitive with each other and to advertise that way. You guys remember the picture of Idra and Huck, rivals become teammates or whatever? That thing went damn near viral. And that was
awesome.
Both teams working on that picture, and they hired professional artists, actually, to do up that, because that's how big those announcements were back then. Obviously, it was a different day and time, because Starcraft was the only thing on Twitch for the most part, and it's a very different field. But I think it's something that people here who will go on and do other things in other games can learn from, how important team aspect is to an esport, because it can be very... That's the thing, is when teams are emphasized and made to be excited, people can celebrate that team even if a player leaves and the team still exists. Whereas if you just follow the players, the teams fall out, I feel. Like the team doesn't exist without people excited about it, buying into it.
Yeah, there's something about like when teams are big and stuff, even up and coming players can imagine, be like, wow, I really want to be a part of that team. Like I want to be on Team Liquid. I want to be on EG. And you never really see people doing that anymore. It used to be that, if you were a part of a team, maybe you'd boot camp with them before an event. You'd all hang out at the event. Sometimes stuff like this still happens. Like the Liquid guys, I kind of get a team feel from them, right?
Still?
They're very selective about who's joining the team. There's not just like a bunch of, mercenaries or anything like that, but it seems like they're all friends. They take pictures together, hang out at events, talk a lot, practice a lot and stuff. So that something like that is really cool. And obviously Jin Air has something like that going on, but it's not like you see boot camps or the whole team flying in somewhere together and spending all that time. And there used to be all these activations that would occur for sponsors and stuff, so it actually meant something who you were sponsored by. I remember EG doing all those things with you guys with like Monster or
the pizza
HyperX or whatever, Yeah.
I feel like there should be, I don't know if there should be, or just something that could contribute to this is just the lack of content being produced by the teams itself. Like we think back during the EGTL days, EGTL were doing so many things. They were making so many of those videos. They had the funny HyperX videos for EG. Like the rivalry was actually kind of produced by the teams themselves after they realized what the community made it to be. So we don't see that type of interaction or that type of content being produced by teams. And I'm curious if that's just because it's not been like that for so long. Is it even lucrative to do those things? Because we all know now in the Starcraft scene now, it's very difficult to just start making content and just like hoping that people look at it and actually absorb it, right? So it seems like kind of it would just fall on dead ears if you just put out these videos and then it gets 100 views and then it's like, okay, good try.
I don't know if it's like totally useless, because that's exactly what I did with Axiom. Was my whole job was to make sure that people knew about these players and that they were on Axiom or that they were partnered with Axiom. And I think that really helped with the situation of, okay, so who do you have on Axiom? Oh yeah, it's this person or that person. And I also think that it was half that it was my job to do that. Like they actually had somebody there to produce that kind of content. Half of it I also think is because it was very easy to do that because of the players. They were locked in for, they were locked into that team for X amount of months or even longer. So producing content about them or surrounding them wasn't useless, because you knew that they would be a part of that team. You knew that, you would have them for a long time, and you weren't just promoting the player just to have them leave and go to another team. And then you're just like, well, okay, great. I just spent like 6 months hyping you up and now you're gone.
Yeah, I think also the fact that there's no team league stuff that's important. If you look into StarCraft. So in StarCraft 2, there was never really a team league that was that important, but teams would be together, personalities together, practice together, some go to events together. There was more of that, the teams making the content and stuff. But I think teams already were slightly diminished in StarCraft 2 because of its gigantic focus on bracket tournaments and stuff, which for me personally, I like that personally, but I get why people like the team stuff. But if you look back at Brood War and Warcraft 3, the most important things in both those were actually team leagues. Like Pro League in Korea was actually the important thing. That's actually what you needed to win for your sponsors. They cared about that more than OSL and MSL. Individual players wanted OSL and MSL, but sponsors wanted the Pro League to work, right? So that was super important. That's what the teams focus on. You had to have a good team. You had to have the team working together and stuff. In Warcraft 3, the W3CL was like one of the really, really big things where it mattered what team you were on, right? You had to have a good 2 versus 2 team. You had to have good 1 versus 1ers and stuff. And then in addition to that, there's all these 1 versus 1 tournaments that people are flown to,
you're
right? And kind of travel together, and they're all wearing their shirts and sitting in the same area and stuff. And I guess that aspect always was kind of missing in StarCraft 2, even though we had some good team leagues. It wasn't the level of importance was certainly not the same. And especially now with the focus on WCS and, BlizzCon is the end of the year, there's nowhere really for team leagues to fit, but China is kind of changing it a little bit. Like the more that the scene is relying over here on China a little bit, right? We already talked about it a little bit, Jeff, where there's a big resurgence of teams. There's these team leagues. Players are flying out to China. I don't think it's done anything to revive it in our minds yet, but it seems like there's some importance to it, a little bit.
We'll see. I think it's hard to say. I mean, I know it's a turn of speech, but I would not say it's changed anything just yet, because so far it's mercenaries, and yes, they exist, and it's great for those players again, but I'm not seeing anyone anywhere else other than basically at the Pylon show talking about the Chinese leagues. Now, could that change? Could it get pretty big? Yes, absolutely, and hopefully it does. I'd love for that. I have no reason not to, but right now it kind of still feels like Special, Scarlet, opportunistically playing in China, which, again, I don't fault them, but
yeah, that's a very fair point, because at the same time it could be something, but at the same time, do the Chinese team care about the global audience to make it something for the global audience? All they need to do is really make it for the Chinese audience.
These really sick games are happening, and Alessandra herself has said several times she's having a tough time finding the results in games, because it's like they're reported in weird places. They're definitely not made for international audiences. But again, we'll see. But one thing I think you made me think of that's really interesting too, one of the biggest mishandled things in StarCraft, I'm going to say that not as a Redditor, by the way, so this is actually, brace yourselves, this is going to actually utilize part of your brain. I think team games in StarCraft 2 were completely fucked up from the very beginning. So 2 versus 2s, 3 versus 3s, yes, there is a public and casual scene, and I will tell you, right now, specifically, there's actually a decent map pool, and you can play those games on pretty good maps. But if you go back to Wings of Liberty, back when Gemini was a little wad of semen in someone's testicles.
Hey, man, I was a very depressed high school student, okay? Come on, easy there.
Okay, same thing. You set that up way too well. That was really great. Anyways,
decide by words,
the maps in 2, because there were still team leagues, there were still like attempts to do this, there's still events. The maps were fucking garbage, and the game was not balanced at all around team matches at all, and there was no attention given to it, so it completely withered and died. There was no one's gonna correct me in the chat, like, Jeff, Red Bull episode. No, nothing. There's been events, like I said, but for the most part, it was extremely secondary, and was unfortunately just not very good. But in Brood War, you said Warcraft 3, like some of these older RTSs, the team games were, for a lot of people, the highlight, but they were at least very good. And I think that was a huge part of what also makes teams essential and interesting and dynamic. So if you're on a team in StarCraft 2, post Wings of Liberty for the most part, you didn't need 2 versus 2 players because none of that existed. In Wings of Liberty, maybe you did, but even that was like, you could exist without it. You'd be okay. If you had one, that's cool, but you could exist without it. And I think that's part of the excitement of that was never tapped into, unfortunately. And again, if you're listening to me right now, 2vs2s and 3vs3s right now on ladder are actually really fun. They're great. There's good maps, and there's people that's what they do all day. It's cool, but we didn't have that in Wings of Liberty.
I feel like that's kind of a lost cause at this point. Like there's no hope for 2v2 or 3v3 or something to actually just come back. Well, one of the Chinese leagues does have 2v2 in it, and that actually ended up being a pretty deciding factor in the overall win. Like Deer and Scarlet, or Deer and Time, had an undefeated 2v2 record, and that actually won them the thing basically. So. There you go. There's something for you for that too, for the team league stuff.
That was always a fun X factor in because Dan and I were on teams back in Brewer and stuff like that. If you had a good 2vs2 team, you would face this team that's so much in an insane 5-man roster or whatever. But then they just put together 2 good players for the 2vs2 and they'd lose like all of them. But the 2vs2 would swing a lot of times, get you that ace match and stuff like that. It was really fun. But yeah, so I think that's missing. And yeah, I think you said it right, too, by the way. This conversation's not about what can StarCraft do to get this back. I think the time's gone, and it is what it is. But I do think it's interesting for teams to learn, because something Olivia said in particular that I really like. I know this exists. I'm a man that watches and follows other esports, and I'm very interested in that. I think Apex is really fun and exciting, and that's kind of a burgeoning game that could become an esport. But you're still seeing a lot of teams just kind of don't get it. They pay these players ridiculous amounts of money. They fly them to events. And I know that the way the business model works is if they win events and do well, they can sell stickers in CSGO, they can sell merchandise, they can, in Overwatch, they can get skins, that kind of stuff. That's how they make the money. They get fans excited about their success, and then they monetize off of that. But one of the things that I thought EG and some of these other teams were ahead of the curve on was invest in the top-notch players, win, or try to at least, and make that your business model, but then back it up with just good content coming out. Like, there's very few teams that have, and by the way, I know there are teams like this, so please don't be like, Jeff, Astralis? No, I know. What I'm saying is, I would think it's the standard now, but it's not yet. They should have writers. They should have just flat-out streamers and content producers that just grab other top-notch players and humanize them, which is really hard to do, by the way. Players don't want to be talking to the public for the most part. It's really hard to make them do that. But if you can, you're going to get some amazing content, and you're going to get bigger fans, and you're going to generate money off of not winning and just be existing. So it's interesting that esports is still in that kind of formative stage where there's these games where they're signing players for, I kid you not, like $10,000 a month, but then they don't make sure that person's going to the gym and has good mental health, and then they're not writing articles about them, and then they're not having them do an interview once every 2 weeks. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Alex Garfield was way ahead of his time. I mentioned from time to time, I think he was one of the smartest people we've ever had in esports. Hope he returns one day.
Yeah. Okay, Gemini, anything else on your topic here?
I was also going to talk a little bit, I guess, about sort of what you just started to say about the coach aspect, and the personal trainer, getting the people, go work out, make them into actual athlete kind of a mindset. Because you see it, I just find it so interesting how it is a staple in league teams, Overwatch teams. They have sports psychologists there, and I find that very interesting, and how a lot of players have said that it has improved their lives, their skill in the game, and specifically specific psychologists have done that for them. There's one specific one in league that I can't remember the name of, who went around a bunch of different teams and really helped different players.
Oh yeah.
And
this seems like a very new thing, and I don't mean new as in I don't think it was something that was happening during the StarCraft 2 heyday of having teams.
We had it a little tiny, because one of the ones that is in league now was originally for TL. He was the guy that helped out TLO and stuff originally, and he's in league now. But he's one of them, at least, that I remember. And also there's that one guy at the old DreamHacks, Martin, the massage guy, who did some stuff. That guy, that guy was super interesting. But anyway, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I think those are exceptions. I don't think that was the norm for sure.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I think it's. I agree with what Olivia's saying. It's more of a new concept, but I like that you brought it up because it's the direction things should be going. And I actually, obviously, I'm hugely biased, but I think Starcraft has such an interesting lifespan. It's a game that esports finally got really big with Starcraft, and instead of just immediately popping, like in the CGS days and stuff like that, and then going away completely, it sustained. But there was a lot of mistakes and a lot of learning that went on at that time. The life of a pro gamer in StarCraft, but I imagine in just about any game, is like exceedingly unhealthy by nature. It just is. You're playing video games a lot. It's high stress. You're evaluated off of your success, and if you're playing a team game, a lot of times you're evaluated on how you deal with that team or how the team thinks of you. In Dota, there's all kinds of player turnaround between these championship level players, and it's not because they all of a sudden suck. It's just because the team decides that their contribution and dynamic just doesn't fit. That's an incredibly powder keg, insane situation to be in. So only in the last year or two, and again, it's not the standard, it's just happening on some level, there's coaches that are less the coach and more the like mentor, and in a lot of cases like therapists. There's people that have mandatory gym times. I'm seeing that all the time now with some teams, which is really cool. Get the exercise, get them around. Some teams have cooks. And then they have like multiple team houses, and that's very big in like the very big successful esports. But I think it's interesting that we're finally hitting that stage where there's different avenues of getting in as a professional in esports, which is interesting, but also realizing that pro gamers need this. And I can tell you again at the EG house, with that, this is not a secret. I think I've talked about this kind of stuff before. These ideas floated around, but were never executed very well. I was the captain, but because I didn't have any real power, I couldn't really pull someone aside and be like, you need to, think about this and that, and you can't talk to that person this way or something like that. I would do that sometimes, but because I was a friend or like a big brother type of guy as opposed to an official capacity. But that would have helped. There was a lot of relationship issues inside of EG that distracted and got in the way. And obviously the biggest topic here would be Greg is a guy that needed help. He's one of the most talented gamers I've ever seen in my entire life. But he was plagued by mental issues, absolutely. And it ended up being the end of his career, by the way. Like the happiest I've ever seen Greg is when he no longer had to play professional StarCraft 2. And that's not a slander. It's just that he was unhappy. That's just the way it was. His hair grew back, for fuck's sakes, and he moved on and did great. And that's crazy, right? Because in an alternative universe, if that was going on right now, he'd have a therapist, he'd have a cook, he'd be at the gym with a trainer or whatever. And if he was having relationship issues with people on the team, they'd be talked out and worked out between professionals. And he might not have those issues, and then who knows what he would have done. It's amazing.
Yeah, it seems like those type of things, and definitely that's like going to be huge in esports and has started in these other ones. It's just the scene that we have right now doesn't really support that. I don't know exactly what Jin Air has going on, but I would guess that the other teams basically don't have that type of thing, like the constant mental checkups or like, even cooks. The thing is, there aren't really team houses. So if your team isn't centralized, it becomes prohibitively expensive to do anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have,
I was going to mention, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, what do we have for regular team houses right now? We have Jin Air. We have like a half team house in the Foreigner thing, but it's not really a team. It's just a place that people.
It's like dormitory.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So it's
no regret covering.
And I don't know what's going on with exactly inside of Jin Air, but you can see what a centralized team, whether they're doing it, at 1% of potential or 100% of potential, you can see just how much stronger that makes them than everybody. It's ludicrous if you look at the last several years what Jin Air has done. It takes the absolute beastliest players to beat them, and nothing else will do. And it's like they're just always in the finals. It makes a huge difference if you can get a team that actually lives together and functions as a team and works together. Even again, we don't know the percentage of how well they're managing theoretically on what a team should be, but the power is there and you can see it.
It is interesting. Because I wonder if they get away with the Kespa-style old Korean team houses where it was like very regimented and very intense.
It's definitely not. Like I like talked a little bit with Trap or whatever, and he says it's definitely not to the level that it was like before. He has it's still you have to practice like this amount or like at these times, but it's definitely shorter compared to Kespa.
Interesting. Very cool.
I would say that's good.
Yeah.
They were practicing too much before.
No more
That's
sweatshops, basically. Like,
Yeah.
that was pretty crazy.
Yes, was pretty crazy for that a little while. Well, all right.
One interesting thing that KJ mentioned, who also actually they have a Psystorm as a pretty good team house in NA too. But I'm curious if he actually has anything like that to the extent of what we're talking about. But TL also had a sports psychologist or someone going with Euthermal. I remember him talking about that, and KJ mentioned it. But that was a individual thing, right? Like Artosis was saying, it's not a team effort. So it's a very kind of, this one instance of it happened, and then he saw the benefits of it. But then the infrastructure that we're in right now doesn't really sustain it to the point where they can constantly have contact with that person, or I'm assuming so, at least, because there's no actual team house set up. There's no network work, because all these players are all in different countries and stuff like that. So it's I feel like the infrastructure does not really set itself up for us to have these sports psychologists, these coaches, to help elevate the players in any more than they can. But it's interesting that we all say that, yes, it has this benefit, this benefit, this benefit, but we can't get any of these benefits because of the way that the scene is set up right now. Just find that interesting.
Find you interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
We're doing a little Keanu Reeves thing here. You're interesting. No, you're interesting.
Listen, I'll let you guys ruin GGMNE's name, but not Keanu Reeves. Take it easy.
I was gonna say, did you call him Keno?
Keanu Reeves.
Sorry.
Keno, isn't that a game that old people play?
All right. Well, that was a good topic, good conversation. As always, if you guys want to hear more about that kind of stuff, make sure and comment in YouTube and just leave out the vulgarity and the death threats. We'll get right to that. But we now have Matt's favorite part of the show, and that's where he shows us clips that were turned in. We have some clips. Here's the first
up,
one.
we have Casually Explained.
You have not enough glory to the Daylong.
No! Whoa. Right after I chrono boosted. Shit. Oh, I'm so stupid, dude.
We stand as one.
Thankfully, he hasn't done anything yet.
I am here in the shadows.
Oh my god, it's gonna jump up there.
What? Oh my god, dude, I'm so good!
Nice.
Oh my god.
I was focusing one adept, so that was a little awkward. Second Liberator. Oh no!
Absolute madman future. Pulverizing and obliterating the mineral line.
That's
No, he's super dead. Yeah. Oh my god.
I was focusing one.
Haha! I shift clicked another Liberator. Oh no! I'm GM.
That's
it's
it?
Harass the Streamer Day here. Apparently, it's Backseat Gaming
This is actually
Day.
funny.
Nura, why didn't you do this? The streamer is bad at this. That's why you lost. I know why you lost the video game.
The video game?
I was watching the whole time. And I'm gonna take the time out of my day to tell you how to do your job better. Now how nice is that? I'm not even gonna charge you for my services. I happen to have 4 years of Twitch chat.
Look at his little arm when he's doing that.
Thank you. I've been banned in 47 channels in 25 countries. Can you believe that? Because I gave them such good advice and they just couldn't handle the truth, you know?
He like turns into Earthworm Jim
It's just
somehow.
too hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at his fucking face.
Oh.
It's like somebody just got a little stab somewhere in the body. One of my brothers just lost and he didn't deserve it. Why? Because he played Terran. I feel like Do you know, like, when sometimes you have like a really rich family, right? There's like an incredibly rich family, and they've got this kid, and they just give this kid everything. From the day that this kid learns how to talk and to walk, and they just kind of give him everything. Every present, every time the kid cries, they give him whatever. And then eventually they create this massive spoiled brat who just doesn't want to do fucking anything but only complains and is never happy. I feel like this is what we have done with the Terran players in this scene. For years and years, they're like, our race is so hard. And we're like, yeah, it's really hard. They're like, our race requires so much micro. We're like, yeah, it does. It really does require so much micro. But now we have reached the point of no return, where every single fucking time a Terran player loses a game, they genuinely believe from the bottom of their heart that there was injustice and that their race is so much harder than the other two races.
God, when you're right, man.
He's building workers right now. You need to build more Evo chambers, Lambo. This isn't all in. You've got to take this seriously, buddy. Oh, no. Oh, I'm so scared right now for Lambo's life. If he loses Zerg vs. Zerg to Beastie, he will be so upset. Oh my god, the queen with the energy for transfuse is up front as well. But this, there's just so little surface area in this Evos. This is such a good wall-off map. Even though Lambo spots it late, he's going to move this queen down. He's got to get that queen in that corner. That queen's got to get in that corner. She gets there just in position. He's even transfused. The Broodling's adding in some damage. Oh, he's got that queen. No, Lambo! He cancelled the Evo and he let Lings in his main. Lambo, no! Okay, good drone drill. They're going to protect there. They can stack up. If the Lings try to fight that, the drones will one-shot them. Yeah, notice he one-shots and hides in the pocket. One-shots, hides in the pockets. Roaches are out now as well. The drones
just watch this whole game.
So that's all right. We can take this fight. And they're kind of correct. The spine crawls up at the front. Only 2 drones go down. A lot of them get wounded.
Some of the clips are about sick plays, not necessarily all humor.
Well, I guess it could be humorous.
This one's about sick plays.
Mortals are too good. I see all these Zergs and Terrans crying about Immortals. Really, the Protoss players are the ones that are having a hard time. Fuck the Immortal, man. Just take it out of the game. Ooh, a Zerg player. Now I'm going to make a bunch of Immortals.
Perfectly clipped.
Thank you. I take the art seriously.
Ooh, a Zerg player. I'm going to make a bunch of Immortals. I feel like the clip segment is usually like 5, I fully get it, very funny, and then 1 where I'm like, interesting. The all-in one.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for agreeing.
I don't know about that one.
I was really expecting that Lambo did lose that game, and I thought he did up until afterwards. So that would have been a little funny, but
really thought he lost until he didn't.
Yeah.
No, like the victory screen came up, and it took even then. I didn't even fully realize it. I thought that BC still won. I know I'm a very good English
I feel
speaker.
like Gemini is a advanced like text-to-speech AI program that like I like make a crack like nobody said anything, and he's like, I thought that such and such player was going to lose until after the game when I realized they did not. I was like,
thoughts that enter my head must come out my mouth.
I like to make clips. The timing was excellent. Thank you, Gemini. All right. That's it for our topics. I think we're going to go into our normal GSL and Brood War talk, and then we'll end with some fantastic questions from the Patreons.
Sounds good.
Is this the group? No, we actually didn't talk about the finals, by the way. So we have to talk about the GSL finals.
Yeah. So,
how were they, Dan? And more importantly, let's ask Gemini. How was it, Gemini, to watch your hero get murdered?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah, spoiler alert.
Well, I mean, it's been 5 days, guys.
Yeah, it was
on
brutal.
A StarCraft 2 talk show. No, spoiler alert. There he is.
Do you want the serious answer or the meme answer?
Both at the same time.
Oh. I mean, the meme answer, I was crying in tears. You know, I just went to bed immediately after, had nightmares the whole night, woke up, still was depressed. No, I'm just kidding. The finals weren't that amazing, but it was also not as one-sided as I expect, or as people expected it, which is kind of all that I enjoyed. It wasn't a 4-0, as Caleb I see in there giving me the thonking face.
Damn.
It was not an 0-4, so eat your words.
Eat 'em.
It was a 2-4, so I'll enjoy the 2 wins basically, and realize that the other games it should have been a 4-0 for Trap anyway, but I don't know.
Dan?
It was a pretty good finals, I thought. It's good to finally have a Zerg champion. I think that Sue's weird brain fart really skewed the stats, but because he made 6 finals and didn't win. So we should have had Zerg champions, but the last official champion that we had was Sulky in 2013. So
holy cow, are you serious?
Yeah. Well, we had one in between that's been redacted or whatever.
Yeah, life finds a way.
Yeah. But yeah, so technically we should have had more Zerg champions if Sue hadn't gotten, because it was obviously a mental block for Sue eventually. Maybe not right at first, but you don't make 6 finals. You're not that good and unable to win. But yeah, it's like long time coming for a Zerg victory, and then for a Dark victory as well. So it was like very good to see him finally win, because he's been at that type of level since 2015. I think overall the finals was pretty good, and Dark just kind of shows what it takes to knock out Jin Air of a tournament, whether we were talking about before. I found that interesting as well, where like you can't stop this team from doing well. The only way that they don't win is someone like, the second best Zerg in the world, Dark, comes along or something. But yeah, I thought it was all right. I think that Trap used the right types of strategies and stuff, and Dark just played better than him. Like, Trap didn't play his absolute best, and Dark played very, very well. So it was good.
I think there were just a couple unlucky moments too, and especially some of the Nidus games, like on the New Repug game. If Trap was prepared with Stalkers to try and kill a Nidus that was going in the main, but one of them was too far away. If he had just
that was a sloppy game.
Yeah, if he had like a DT with the Stalker, the Nidus in the main would have died. He would have dealt with the stuff at the natural way easier. His third base then would have been more prepared to deal with that. His army was just straight up better, even after all those mess ups happened, and he got like caught in a weird corner at the very beginning of the fight. He still almost won the fight and held anyway. So I feel like if he just didn't have so much going on at that 1 second, he would have won. And then the last game, he was like this fucking close to getting drawn over to see the Nidus in his main base. And if he did, I think that would have helped just a tiny bit. I don't know if he would have straight won that still, but seeing it was coming, I think would have at least helped him to stay alive a little longer.
Well, I think the New Repugnancy game was definitely winnable for Trap, but that's like what Dark's actual strategy and style is anyways, is fucking with you and making
he did good at it. Like that was a really just the moving the 3 roaches into the third to then set up the Nidus in the main, and then the stuff in the natural, and then the whole big push at the third. That was well over. I gave him respect for it.
He's Mr. Chaos.
It's like Cyril and Rogue will just try to outplay you and be stronger than you. Dark makes you mess up. He's that type of player. But
yeah,
it was a good finals, I thought.
Did you catch them, Olivia?
I did not. I was busy, to be honest. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's
totally no problem. We spoiled it for you then.
Spoiled it. Well, that does set up this next GSL season. We've had some surprise qualifier players, which is fun.
Yeah.
I think we have that on screen now. There is that Dream. We saw him in a couple of those online tournaments now showing up here. Scarlet did qualify again.
Yeah, and Special made it through as well. We have some names coming back after a really long time, like Dream, Super, Bomber. That's crazy.
Bomber. Maru,
yeah,
look at him bounce back, by the way.
Glad look at that. He made it. He's so good. That is crazy that Bunny didn't make it again. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see it. But we also have some players that didn't make it. I didn't actually check all the qualifier brackets, so I didn't see if these guys played, but like MC and DRG that we saw in last season, which was...
DRG lost to Tasia, actually. Or it was a Bomber. It was one of the new Terrans.
Yeah, the new old Terrans.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very cool to see some of these old guys coming back. And I think it's unbelievably important to see people like Bomber, Tasia, obviously fantasy has come back a little bit longer ago because they are going to be kind of the guys that do fill in the scene as the other top pros leave. Kind of interesting to see as well this season how TY does, since he's commentating as well.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It's very rare we get to see the Korean aspect of that. Usually we see the NA or EU player to commentator degradation, but now we're going to see a Korean player try it.
Well, maybe they become more powerful, like the Muslim did. Could happen. Well, that is when's the next night of GSL, Dan? When are you?
That is going to be July 3rd, opening night. Okay. So that's next week, next Wednesday.
There you go.
Korean time, or Tuesday America, I guess.
Yes.
Or maybe it is Wednesday America.
Now,
I don't know.
Nobody knows. This is
PM, AM. Time doesn't really mean
kind of
anything
weird
to me.
Time assassin that just tries to mess everybody up on time. What do we have to talk about with Brood War?
Nothing. We had the ASL quals that we talked about last week, and ASL starts on Sunday. So in 3 days, ASL's back.
That is that stuff. I will say, impromptu-wise, today on Games Done Quick, what's the SD stand for, though? SDGQ, what is that? You guys don't know?
Oh, it's
in the chat. Summer. Go on, say the whole thing. Say the whole thing, guys.
Oh, summer.
Oh, just summer.
Games
Done Quick. Anyways, they speed ran Starcraft Brood War today, and
I think they did the Protoss campaign specifically because the whole game would probably take too long.
Protoss campaign takes no time at all. Yeah.
I caught the end of it.
Very good, Dan. They shout out the Pylon show, so thank you to them. And the other thing I would say is we made note of this earlier, but Dan will begin rigorous training to compete in Russia in October as the U.S. representative in StarCraft Remastered. Dan personally thanked me for not competing because he knew I would have crushed him, so it's just very nice to see that he's going. And that means when you hop into streams, I want you to make extra comments that he won't see because he'll be hard at work trying to get good.
Yep.
Follow his journey. It's fun. That'll be really cool, Dan. And if you need a life coach or a caddy, Gemini from Pennsylvania will fly out and
New
carry
Jersey.
your mouse. New Jersey.
Well, soon Korea because I'm going to be moving there.
Yep, it's a long flight, but you'll do it. Dan. That's it for our Brood War news. We now go to the Q&A portion as we wrap up episode 55 here. So if you're wondering,
55.
Jeff, that's amazing. I'd love to ask you guys some questions and not just type them in the Twitch chat. How do I go about doing that? You head over to the website, which you didn't know about, and then you click on that Patreon button, and as long as you support us on Patreon for, I think, Cobra, is it $1?
It's $2.
$2. Double it. And if you guys say anything, it'll become $4. So you watch yourselves, okay? $2. You can do it once, or you can do it every month. $2. And if you're $2 is basically a string cheese, guys, which you shouldn't be eating anyways because there's a lot of dairy to have in your diet. It's a string cheese.
Costs $2
in California. Yeah, probably $8.
Damn. You stop eating that organic string cheese, Jeff.
That's what
I'll
saying.
get you some discount string cheese, all right?
I did. I'm out of it. Yeah.
It's actually currently set at $5, but we can bump it down to $2 if you want.
I know. We don't need it. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
even if it's $5, guys, $5 in California will buy you 1 toothpick.
2 string cheese.
No, 2 string cheese. String cheese has a weird snowball effect that if you double the amount of string cheese, it quadruples the price. It's this whole thing. I can't. Anyways, then you go here and you ask the questions, and we've got some fantastic people asking us questions, but you're also supporting the show. So, first question from Red Gunner Guy. He's got a follow-up from the previous week. So, the Abyssal Reef is not the best map. Thank you, Mr. Artosis. So which would you consider the best map we ever had in StarCraft 2, and why? Also, is Fighting Spirit the best map in Brood War?
This guy must be trying to trigger me with that Brood War question because Fighting Spirit is one of the worst fucking maps ever. Oh my god, it's so old and so bad, and it needs to be taken out or updated. Can't place your fucking turrets anywhere on that map. It's so disgusting.
I think he was being serious.
Olivia, I'm going to start with you. What is the best StarCraft 2 map you've ever seen?
Visually or balance-wise?
Dealer's choice.
To be honest, I liked the way that Blackpink looked, just aesthetically, you know.
Sure.
But at the same time, I also like the way Whirlwind just looked as in the mini map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fun map. That was a very Brood War map, actually, Whirlwind.
Whirlwind, yeah.
Whirlwind.
Good answers. What about Brood War for you? What's the best Brood War map ever?
I would not know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't really follow
Okay, it's a super
Brood War.
dead
I'm
game.
sorry.
Yeah.
Best Brood War map ever is probably Circuit Breakers, I would say.
Oh.
I think that's pretty. I think there's a pretty decent consensus that as far as just a straight up map, it's well shaped and.
Can I just say you came close and I'm proud of you, but the actual correct answer is Remote Outpost.
Remote Outpost? I can't even remember what this is.
Yeah.
Sounds
Look it
familiar.
up. Google it. Best map ever. Fucking gigantic. That map, when a 12-year-old Jeff was playing Brood War, or 13-year-old maybe, I'd start a game.
Oh God, I remember
an hour
this
and a
map.
half every time, and my mom would be like, "Are you still playing?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm on my third base. Get off the computer." That was it. Gemini, what's the best Starcraft 2 map ever?
King Sejong Station was, in my eyes, the best map. I think now it's not good because of Liberators and stuff. It kind of is very abusive, but in the time that it was in, I think it was the best map because it had the most versatility. I feel it had like each base that you could potentially expand to was a possibility. It wasn't necessarily, while it was still good to do the first, like the 1-2 and then the third.
Were you exploring
pocket.
this map sexually or just playing it? What do you mean it's each expansion's a possibility? What are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
you could technically go to multiple different areas with your third and fourth base layouts.
Okay,
All right,
that makes
have
sense.
to do the same exact horizontal vertical that you see on most of the other maps.
So that was a great map.
It had a lot of different attack paths. The watchtowers were in like not terrible positions. They made it so it was actually kind of strategic with them. I just think in general it was just a very versatile, well done map.
Okay. I thought you were getting like really Robert Frost on us there for a second. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that wasn't really that big of a blank map, Maynard, personally. I don't think so. That's more the Yonsu.
Yeah,
in the
I liked that map. King Sejong was great. And I liked Neon Violet Square was one of my personal favorites. I really liked that one.
Really?
Yeah, no, I like that. The little back pocket base and stuff. Oh yeah. Oh
I
my
guess
God.
since you never attack anyway in any of your games, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, no, it was perfect for
A lot
me.
of positivity here, so let me spin it around real quick. Desert Oasis was one of the shittiest maps ever made, and I cannot believe it was made from a professional.
Yo, that came out with the sickest ever MLG whatever game though of Sake versus Jinro with like mass nukes and everything on that.
That was
map.
cool.
That was
Well,
a good map.
that's the irony is oftentimes the shittiest map would create the best games because these players are fighting for their existence, and that it made for interesting stuff. Steven
Indeed.
Johnson. On the last episode, you discussed Pure Legacy and how he should receive mercy after reform. How do you differentiate between hacking and win trading? Why should one receive mercy when the other does not?
They both should.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
eventually be forgiven.
I don't think anyone is saying nobody should ever be forgiven for something. And if they are saying that,
it's pretty hard to do something in a game that you shouldn't eventually be forgiven for.
So I think to try to salvage this, he's saying, it's interesting because he kept saying you, which is incorrect. We didn't say this, but for instance, Life is blackballed. He's banned. He will not come back to StarCraft in an official capacity. Savior tried to come back. That was kind of shot down as well.
Yeah, that's not win trading though. That's like match fixing. It's different.
Oh God. Okay, so I was trying to make this point. Is there a reason that that's different for you? When trading and match fixing?
Well, I mean, if you look at what actually occurred, like match fixing on a scene-wide scale that basically just almost destroyed an entire industry, I would say that that's worse than win trading. Yeah.
Industry.
Yeah.
Isn't match fixing also though a exterior source of money coming in to force people to fix games, whereas win trading could just be between the individual players, like we saw with the nice stuff from WCSNA, the ladder thing.
Yeah.
Which I think match fixing then has a level up definitely over how severe that is.
Okay, I agree with that. I guess what I would say is, we as personalities never said anyone should never be forgiven. Like, I think the
sure.
pretty standard thing to say is, even in the worst situation where we say save your or life, they were young people being stupid. I don't think they're actually like evil monsters that were trying to take down a game. They just were idiots that didn't understand the ramifications of what they were doing, and they liked money. The end. So yeah, I think they should be forgiven, and people should. So this whole like, should Pure Legacy be given mercy or something, and then other people not? I don't even abide by the boundaries of what you're saying, because I think everyone should get a second chance for the most part, unless they've shown or proven to be like evil, I guess. But even then, people are like, no, give them a second chance too. I'm like, okay, seems dumb, but okay. Yeah, next topic. GT Buzzsaw. What do you think of my new band name, German Rocket Scientists? Olivia, you first.
What kind of band is it?
What comes to
That's the first
what do you
question.
feel when you hear that, German Rocket Scientists?
I think it's boring.
Yeah. I like that. That's honest. That's an honest answer. Gemini, you've had more time for this to salivate. What do you think of that band name?
Well, there's only so many ways my brain can go with this. There's not as many versatile expansion patterns as we have on King Sejong Station. So I don't know. I'm not quite feeling it. It kind of only goes into one general direction. It's like rocket scientists. I kind of think, it's not rocket science. That's the first thing that comes to my head when I think of it. So are Germans really good at rocket science? Are they naturally smarter than other people because of this? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's too much backstory for him to get into this.
I agree.
He can't get into this name because there's too much
stopping him. It's gatekeeping him from getting there. Dan, what do you think?
Exactly.
I'm not digging it as a band name. I think that they can do better.
We got the triple X on the talent show.
Yeah.
Panel
Not feeling it, dog. That's what they said. You're out. Okay.
Not feeling it, dog.
Nyan. This is a tough one. Listen very carefully. I'll read this once. Given that you always answer Patreon questions, can you please not answer my question?
So HyperTurtle asks, what is the healthiest way to interact with the Starcraft subreddit as a community figure? Read and participate regularly? Skim the threads but don't get involved? Pretend it doesn't exist? Posting on there has clear benefits for content creators but also seems easily soul-crushing.
I like this, and I like this for our guests, actually. So, HyperTurtle, thank you very much. This is a great question. I'm not going to pick either of you. I'm going to let one of you speak up first. But specifically for your guys' content or what you do, or just, for you as public StarCraft figures, how do you guys... Let's get away from what's the best way. How do you handle Reddit? What is it for you?
So I think this is interesting for me specifically because I still don't even really consider myself a personality or like a figure at any way. I still feel like I am the person that was a fan and is a fan. And because of that, I've come up through things like Reddit, Twitter and whatnot. So I've kind of been born in this almost.
Oh God.
So I feel like it's a little bit different for me because Reddit has essentially given me a lot of eyes just naturally and a lot of exposure. I feel that I am much more willing to contribute. I'm part of it more. I'm part of the community in that regard. Whereas someone outside coming in, like a professional player or, I don't know, Tasteless or something, who obviously has said that they dislike the scene, the community before, recently has backed off on that a little bit. But still, it's much more difficult to just suddenly be like, yeah, let me start doing this more. Let me start getting into it more. Whereas for me, I just do it because I like doing it. And I'll comment on threads. Like you'll see me in plenty of different threads just because I find it fun. I like the culture. I like the meme culture, and that's kind of elevated me through that. I feel like I have gained a lot of whatever I have right now because of my interaction on Reddit and whatnot. Whether or not that is something that other people can do coming in, like I said, I don't know exactly, but I think there are potential benefits if you can waft through the cesspool that it sometimes unfortunately is.
What about you, Olivia? How do you use StarCraft Reddit?
When I first started, I actively posted my stuff on there and I actively participated in the StarCraft 2 Reddit. and then I forgot my password, and now I don't know how to get it back.
Wow, that turned really quick.
So that's why I can't post on my official certified account. And then eventually I just stopped, because when you're starting out, it is a really great place to start out, get your stuff shown. But after a while, unfortunately, you can't look at things that people say and say, hey, you might have a point, because then you're a part of the scene, and then you're like, it's so bone-shattering stupid sometimes what people say, because they'll tell me, you don't know what you're talking about, because I'm pretty sure MMA said this. And I have this guy right here, and I'm saying, did you say that? And he said no. And you're supposed to tell me that I don't know what he's saying, or that he said it and I'm wrong. And it's just it's a lot of stress that you don't need.
You want to know how pure of a soul you are, Olivia? Is that your example is someone is arguing with you that a guy next to you said something, and you're like, did you say that? And he's like, no. And that's crazy to you? Wait until you ascend to the highest level of Reddit when someone says, you said something, and you're like, no, I didn't. And they're like, yes, you did. And you're like, that's the final stage, is when you're arguing with somebody about what you've said or done, and you should be the expert. And they're like, no, I know you better than yourself. As more of a, like, getting you on record, Dan, because we are glib about this, but why don't you talk about your evolution, or how you use Reddit or digest it or whatever?
Well, I mean, I check Reddit and I read Reddit and stuff. I generally don't respond to very much. Like, occasionally I will. And sometimes I want to respond, but I sit on it and think about it and see if it's actually worthwhile to respond, because some of the arguing that goes on there is really a waste of time, where, like, I might be able to, like Olivia said, where I might come in with a factual statement and people argue with me about it if I respond to something in a thread. And I'll just be like, what is the point here? I have the check mark. I'm Artosis. I know this. You don't, but you're going to argue with me about it? That doesn't make sense. So I don't respond all that much, but, like, I check it out. If I find stuff that's cool, I'll tweet it out or something, and give my support via Twitter rather than Reddit, because I can control on Twitter, I guess, the types of responses I get rather than that. But every now and then I'll, respond in a Reddit thread. It's not too often. I don't like to argue on Reddit. It's like a terrible waste of time.
I've recently started to realize that way more than in the past. I've definitely engaged in a lot of that stuff too much in the past, and I've kind of tried to stop, just because it is so mentally degrading. I'll even just make such a simple, like, neutral statement, and it somehow devolves into an argument over something. And I'm just like, what am I doing with myself right now? I'll spend an hour going on a back and forth about something that means absolutely nothing. And it's just, like, sometimes just super mind numbing. And I've tried to distance myself from that recently. It just is, it's exhausting.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just easier for you to go on your Twitter and say, okay, you guys said I said this. This is actually what I said. This is the end of the discussion. Because when you put it on Twitter or something, when you actually say it like that, as opposed to Reddit, there's less argument in a sense, where they don't feel like they have to be like, okay, well, you're wrong about this, and here's why, and I'm going to downvote it because that was wrong, And
also Twitter, I think Twitter also just kind of suits itself for that, because the people looking at your content usually are the people that follow you and necessarily are the ones agreeing with you or supporting you, whereas Reddit is open and anyone can shit on you, whether they like you or not.
I would just say functionally it's just better, because when you make a tweet, it's just there and then there's comments below it. Unless you make a whole new thread on Reddit, and if you just post in there, depending on how it's received, it'll get up and down voted. But even that's
exactly.
People can read it differently too. There's, like, what's hot, and then there's actually the top. So it's kind of harder to get a message out on Reddit unless you make a thread yourself and make the OP.
Right.
And then it kind of really falls away. Like, the last time I was actually arguing in a Reddit thread, it left the front page and then no one responded anymore. And I was like, oh, I guess it looks like I lost, but I really didn't. Okay.
Or what's even better is you'll think they're responding, and it's an active thread because you'll get the little message thing. But then you go looking for the thread, and it's like page 3, and nobody cares. It's just you arguing with one random guy, and no one's upvoting or downvoting. It's just at the bottom. You're like, no, we're in a voice chat with ourselves, and it sucks.
Yep.
I do find it useful though, because it is kind of the most important place for the community.
Yeah.
You know, we've got like 4 places that everyone kind of congregates, and that's like kind of the most active one overall, I would say. So it's very useful. You know, you can pick up on patterns of what's being talked about to see what's actually important within the community. Any one thing doesn't really mean anything, but you know, it's the community and the scene would be much worse off without it. It's just there's a few bad eggs on there that make it very frustrating to argue.
One thing I would say is that, well, I think it's a great place for people to congregate and stuff. At the same time, I would hope and wish that as content creators or as tournament organizers or as pros players, we wouldn't have to make a post on Reddit to get it seen by Blizzard. Or if they would stop putting so much value into Reddit about as making it the community opinion, because as you said, there are a lot of bad eggs on there. And a lot of weird things do get upvoted, you know? And it's not really something that I would say that Blizzard would have to make a priority or really focus on. But then because it's on the first place on Reddit, you know, they're like, oh, I think we got to deal with this. And you don't.
Rotterdam's tweet today was like the perfect example of how he's going on this conversation about someone, about how he used to play, because he used to play versus him, and Rotterdam's like, give me the evidence or whatever, and the guy comments, oh, I haven't played since Heart of the Swarm, but and then, you know, kind of goes off. That's like a super classic comment you'll always run into, where you're arguing with someone who hasn't actually played the game in X plus years, and that's the feedback that Blizzard is apparently reading, and it's who knows if they're actually taking that into account or not.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
Public perception's a thing. I just have to agree that what a lot of people say. I check Reddit, Starcraft Reddit specifically, like 10 times a day or whatever. It's one of the best places for just getting a glib pulse of what's going on, basically. Like if some win happened, an interview happened, a tournament happened, or someone got mad on stream, whatever, you'll get all of that. Obviously, a lot of it's garbage. So I have like 120,000 karma or something like that. I used to post all the time. But in the last like 2-3 years, I almost never post. And it's usually just say like lol or fuck you or something like that. And that's about it. But I do think it is the place as of now to get an idea of what people are thinking in general in StarCraft. But it is funny because you have to have a different mindset to do it. And I think for us as personalities, it's really hard because no matter what, the people that are generally like, you're just going to hear from the people that are upset about things or don't like something more than you're going to hear about the people that are happy with something. That's just the nature of the way people talk. So if they're talking a lot about you, you're going to hear a lot of people be like, he's my favorite or she's my favorite. And then you're going to see other people be like, I hate him. And the best part, too, is that Kevin's story reveals something that I learned a long time ago. Be like, why do you hate him? It's like, 2012.
I just do.
2012, I went in his channel and said I raped his family, and then he banned me. And ever since then, I don't like the guy. And you're like, wow, why did I spend any time talking to you at all? Anyways, there's like a lot of stories like that. So you're like, no, Jeff, there's legitimate reasons to hate people, too. I know. It's just a silly example. But yeah, Cobra also wanted us to make note that we are working on the Pylon Show forum, so that'll be a nice place where people can go and talk about StarCraft and things discussed on the Pylon Show and that kind of stuff, and hopefully it'll become another community hub. That's what we're kind of...
Will there be a separate balanced wine section?
We can make that a thing, yeah.
My dream is smart moderation. Dan's heard me say this a million times, but imagine a forum where when you balance wine, it immediately ghosts what you're saying and puts it in a category that only other people whining go to, but you don't know. So you're like posting, you're like yelling, but it's other people yelling about other balance, and then they find each other and they just...
Dude, what if the BNet forums were like that? That's what we need.
Yeah. My dream, I've said this before on the Pylon Show, I'm on record.
Well, that would just be the forum, though. That would be the whole...
This will come out someday, but it's what I've said. I want, when hackers are found, they're never notified that they've been banned. They only get put into a queue where they play other hackers in a game. I think that would be the best thing ever.
That would be amazing.
God.
They both start screaming at each other that they're hackers, and they both post the replays on Reddit stuff.
And the possibilities are limitless. So if like you get reported a whole bunch for being mega toxic, you only get queued with other mega toxic people. Can you imagine? They're just yelling at each other. Anyways, Sate Zero says, "Do you think StarCraft 2 would be better or worse game if patches were committed to only be once per year, or even less frequent? Would be more like Brood War, that maps would be the balancing factor. I think a big part of why Brood War works is when you know no patch is coming, you are forced to find solutions."
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You just have to get better in Brood War. You can't really complain about it. The thing is, there are so many patches. I think people get bored in certain metas in StarCraft 2 as well and just want it mixed up. I think that that's definitely a part, right? Because like the whole to-do about Immortals, like it's still being talked about, but now it's shifted over to like the Warp Prism is just a problem in general. And it's like, is it? Like, is Protoss still crushing it? Oh no, it's not. Okay. Because over time, whether we have patches or not, like the game will stabilize and normalize, and there will be answers to everything. We've gotten so few things that are actually broken.
I have a side question based off of this question.
Go for it.
If StarCraft 2 made patches where certain units were taken out and certain units were added in, for example, taking out the Viking, putting in, what was that other thing called? I don't know. The
Wraith?
Goliath?
Yeah.
What if they did that? How would you guys feel about that?
Did you know?
I would, if they made like
Well, hang on. Dan.
Yeah.
Last week on the Pylon show, somebody asked this question.
Well, no, but it was reverse into Brood War.
Yeah.
Right? What unit do I want brought into Brood War? Nothing. Don't touch Brood War. You let it be. You never touch that game. But like, if they want to, the thing is, I think that the patches, especially the end of year patches that we always get after BlizzCon, those are like to shake the game up. They're almost like new expansions in a way, right? Yeah. We've had such huge changes. So I think things like that are actually really fun and revitalizing for the scene in a lot of ways. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but like whenever we've had those big patches, you know, the mothership goes out, or like, ooh, siege tanks get picked up in medevacs. It's like, it's a fresh new world for a bit. Which is, I think it helps keep things fresh.
I'm like pretty on the side that I dislike change for change, and I've said it a lot of times. I feel like the only reason why the big end of the year balance patches are perceived as still okay is that they're still trying to actively fix problems that actually exist. We're not quite in the range of League of Legends or whatnot, where there's a lot of changes where it's literally just changing things up to change things. And I don't think we're at that necessarily with StarCraft. So I feel like the end of the year balance patches are still fine in that regard, because they still are trying to solve solutions. And that's to the extent that I think they should be doing them. So if that's what they're doing with these patches, then that's fine. But otherwise, it kind of, I don't like the fresh aspect. I feel like just playing the game and naturally developing it is fresh enough for me, but that's just my opinion personally.
Didn't Olivia ask you guys what you thought about adding Brood War units to StarCraft 2?
I think she just used that as an example.
Yeah. Well, I think it was more about refreshing the game, but I guess specifically on taking out and putting in units, it seems like the first thing that strikes me is you're going to figure out one is way better than the other very, very quickly. Like, is the Viking better, or the StarCraft 1 Goliath better? Like, you're going to figure it out, and then if it ever has to go back, people are going to really riot. So I think it would just make a lot of angry people.
Yeah,
and the overall idea of refreshing, I'm pretty okay with in StarCraft 2. I kind of, in a way, like that it's not just trying to be a Brood War where there's 0 balance patches and 0 shakeup, because we already have a game like that. So it's kind of cool to have, I guess, the two different ones.
Yeah.
I think if the change is needed and actually solves a problem, then I'm fine with shaking up in whatever way. But if it's just to shake it up, I'm pretty against that.
Okay. Interesting. Zesty asks, Kenny Smith, an analyst on NBA on TNT, has a cool segment for every game called Kenny's Pictures. They've recently added a new tech where he actually gets superimposed within the game itself to explain concepts. When can we expect Dan and Jeff to be pantomiming Micro in StarCraft 2? Example in DC chat.
You can make dicks in the game in real time with all the units. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I already make dicks, my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's going to be in the game, not just on the screen.
That's true.
It's crazy.
I don't know how we could, because you use your body in a sport, whereas here, it's like I've tried doing that before, and there were some. Do you remember that stupid GSL show that we had for a little bit, where I tried to be a Banshee, and that clip was around forever?
Dude, that was amazing.
I was trying to show
show
Banshee
come
Micro. Yeah. So I don't know that that is very doable.
Yeah. Thank you, Zesty. Jeff Foot asks, what are your top 2 favorite movies?
Well, that's hard.
I'm going to throw it to someone, but I'm going to give you a chance to think about that. And understand that there's probably no way to say definitively your top 2 favorites. So for the sake of just
Yeah.
just 2 of your favorites.
The first things that jump to my mind, I guess I'll just mention. Pacific Rim jumped to mind. The first one I'm a big fan of. I actually haven't even seen the second one yet. You guys don't like Pacific Rim 1? You guys are so stupid. Oh my god.
I haven't watched it. I'm flapping purely on Jeff's initial straight reaction. It's just,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Pacific Rim 1 is
Pacific Rim?
An amazing
It's not even the best movie in its genre. It's like,
what are you even talking about?
Did your heart skip a beat in that scene where they're doing taekwondo and he flips her over and she's like, good
that
one.
was stupid, yeah. Listen,
oh my god.
I would have liked it better with no words. But it's giant robots battling aliens, okay? Yeah, the dialogue's terrible, obviously, okay? These are things that they do for I don't know who, but it's not for me. But overall, the idea behind the movie. Listen, my heart's going pitter patter. Think about it right now. First off, the scene where his brother dies while they're doing the Jaeger and he gets it back to the coast by himself. I am waiting for Tasis to die during a cast so I can finish it off by myself and just be like that guy. Okay?
It's even worse than that, though. They crash in Alaska and he just becomes a welder, I guess, in his depression.
Yeah, he just stays there.
They go find him.
That's his job now. Where do you want him to go? He may as well build the wall. He's still fighting kaijus, isn't he? But then, when they're... Listen, the scene where they bring him through the hangar and it has all the remaining Jaegers... Oh my god, and they got the old big Russian Jaeger, and then they got the triplet Chinese Jaeger. Oh my god, the Australian, the rude young kid and his dad and shit. You can't tell me that this movie's not fantastic. I'm getting chills right now. Right now I'm getting goosebumps talking about this. It's epic.
Well, your passion for it does get me.
Oh my god.
What's your second favorite movie? By the way, he snuck in, he didn't even see the second one. He likes the movie so much he didn't bother to watch the sequel, which was...
I'm scared to see the second one, man, because it was already so corny in the first one that I'm like, but I will watch it.
They couldn't even hire the same cast. They looked at the script for the next one. They're like, no.
Damn. Now I really got to see it. I don't know. I got to think about my second one.
What about you guys?
I'm all wiggly right now.
Yeah. Watch some Pacific
Kung
Rim.
Fu Hustle.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Have you guys ever seen it?
Yeah.
Never even heard of it.
Very interesting.
You should watch it. It's hilarious.
Kung Fu Hustle.
It is very funny. Very different, though. It's one of those things where you'll either find it funny or you'll hate it. You'll be like, I don't get it.
Yeah. That's very true.
It's kind of like
I
Best
don't know
in
if I've
Show.
seen this.
Best in Show is really hilarious, but there's people who watch it and didn't know it was a comedy.
Yeah, and you're sitting next to somebody, they're like, you get it? You get it? And they're like, you need to stop, please.
They're like, yeah, what's so funny about that? Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared to ask, but Gemini, what is one of the favorite movies for you?
What are you scared about? We're not on a pure sexual tension theme here. I
You're a
promise.
younger guy. You're gonna say something like Twilight or some shit. It's gonna be weird.
Dude, that okay. Interstellar is my
Oh God.
my single. Oh,
It's a
come
good
on.
movie.
It's a good movie, man. It is when like going to watch that movie in theater, IMAX, whatever. It was an experience, man. It was very enveloping. I enjoyed it. I'm just a big science, like sci-fi kind of like astronomy dude in general. So when it took it to that extra scale with the crazy theme going in the background, like the clock ticking and stuff like that, it was just I loved
the
it.
only force that can cross time and space is love.
Sounds right to me.
The energy of love. And every time I mention this,
Sounds like
without
an
fail,
anime.
someone in the Twitch chat's like, Jeff, there's science behind it. There's an article. Here, let me forward it to you. What's your email? And I'm like, no, stop. Stop. You almost did it. Inception, man. That's one of the best movies ever made.
Oh, that's a great movie, yeah.
If not the best trailer for a movie ever made, by the way. That it completely broke trailers for like the next 20 years because they all were based off of like a sound continuing through the trailer. The boom, you know, like the sound that they did. Every trailer after that tried to copy Inception because it worked. But Inception's incredible. There's too many. That's why there's no way to answer top two. But like my first rated R movie I saw with my dad on a warm summer day when I was like 9 years old was Terminator 2, and I'll never forget. It was just an amazing experience. It was just such a good movie. Him dropping the rose box coming around the corner in the mall and the T-1000 and him clashing in the walls. It's like that is my aesthetic. That's my identity, man. It's so amazing. Aliens, Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger covered in mud, sitting in a lake or a river, whatever the fuck that is, trying to fight an alien dude. That's me. That's what I want. That's I want to go. Or not go.
I generally like a lot of movies with like ninjas and shit. So like all the old Jackie Chan movies before he became goofy, you know? Before he started teaming up with Owen Wilson, like all those Jackie Chan movies, those were good.
Yeah.
Ip Man, that's a good one.
Big Lebowski. It's one of the funniest movies. There was a couple summers where I watched it, like I kid you not, 3 times a week, and I would find a new scene to laugh at every time. And Big Lebowski is another movie where I've sat with friends, and it's like a litmus test for my friends. Where they'll be like, "That's not funny." I'm like, "Get out of my life. Get out." Like, I don't get it. It's not stupid. Like, get out.
Where does Anchorman?
Why does he care about the rug? It's like, oh my god, you're so dumb.
No, Anchorman. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is another amazing movie. I don't think I would ever say it's my favorite, but it's just a really good movie. One of the most probably the most underrated movie I've ever seen is because you guys have probably all not seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, have you?
Nope.
I don't think I've seen it.
Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer.
Damn, I do like me some Val Kilmer.
This is his best movie, hands down.
Really?
Yeah. He plays a gay PI, and all the jokes are absolutely incredible. Anyways, good conversation. But Dan, you have to tell me your second one now.
Maybe Lost in Translation, that Bill Murray movie.
Okay.
I always really liked that one.
So,
not even sure why. I just like it.
I feel like you're picking, like we're at like a fancy wine party or something like that, and that's the answer you give to try to impress somebody.
Dude, I said Pacific Rim for my first answer. You think I'm trying to impress somebody? You gotta get out of here.
Fair enough. Checkmate. I just got checkmate for sure. All right. So we got our final question here. Alessander says, Chinese doesn't always translate very well to English. Are there any Korean jokes or humor that translates well? Yeah, Savior did a photo shoot once. I thought it was really funny. Can you get a picture of that? You guys don't remember, do you?
No.
What are we talking about?
Oh my god, the Savior Hitler photo shoot.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Just before your time?
I do remember that.
They tried to make a joke about how he's like the tyrant, and they literally dressed him up and gave him the Hitler mustache and did a photo shoot. And as it turns out, it was not super well received.
What the heck? Someone link that. I want to see what the hell this is.
Maybe don't.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Can that break TOS? I don't think it does.
That is something else.
You guys can Google it. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe not.
It's on Team Liquid somewhere, I'm sure.
Jesus.
Korean jokes are humor. That translates well. I'm not 100% sure, but one thing that comes to mind that was the funniest thing. I probably mentioned it since we've been through 55 episodes, but one of the funniest things I ever saw was from a Korean person, and it was like, you know how like, I mean, barcodes are bad now, but remember when it was only barcodes?
Yeah.
There was one guy at the top of the Korean ladder. He was top 3, and his ID was in Korean, and it translated to barcode butcher.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And as far as I know, no one knew who it was, but his fucking ID was barcode butcher, and he was at the top of the ladder of barcodes.
That was pretty good.
That killed me. That was so good.
That's good.
Koreans are funny, man. MC has he's just a funny guy behind. I'm trying to think of any stories. What's one of the funny ones I get a lot from my friends that aren't in esports is they'll be like, "Who's that guy you interviewed who yelled at you?" And I'm like, "MC," and they're like, "Yeah, didn't he call you a bitch or something like that?" I was like, "No, he said bitch please," which was all scripted. It was the corniest thing I've ever done in my life, but people loved it because it's just it was a Korean guy showing a really goofy side of himself, and it was funny.
Honestly, Parting does it pretty well.
Parting's funny as shit.
He actually
He's so
is
funny.
a comedic genius. Like, he understands comedic timing
Yes.
and everything more so than other Koreans who try to be funny, I think.
His manners,
his comedic timing's better than his fucking PvP timing from what I've seen.
Like when the clip that I clipped of him getting caught with the toilet paper roll in the back by his bed or whatever, and he's just like awkwardly walks up and throws it off the side, and just like, yeah, I can't even do anything to save this. Like, congrats, you caught me. Like, he's just funny. He just knows how to play the crowd.
I just like watching his stream because he says exactly what I feel in StarCraft. Like, he'll be like running 3 stalkers away, and a Widowmine will hit one and be like, "Oh fuck," and then like a drops in his main. He's like, "Oh fuck no," you know. He's just like, it's just funny. I don't know. I like it. He just can't even do a super good impression, but yeah. Okay. Oh, there it is. Nail last just snuck in there. One more question. Mr. Ravi Parikh asks, what narrative or storyline do you wish became a bigger deal? Preferably current, but old is okay too.
What's the question?
It's a great question. So he's
Storyline,
asking
like, hasn't picked up.
that you wish did. So something that happened that you thought should have been a bigger deal than it was.
It's a good question. Let me think for a second.
And I was waiting for the troll, but it's just a straight up good question. So thank you, Ruby. Good luck in your move, buddy. I'll start. I kind of thought Cyril winning the world championship and sweeping the year would have been a bigger deal.
Felt like a pretty big deal.
It's a pretty big deal. It's,
I guess
it's literally a Finnish kid being the world champion and destroying everyone for an entire year.
Yeah. There's 2 like storyline / rivalries that I really wanted to see take place. Neeb versus Cyril, which hasn't really done what it could have done, because Neeb was like easily best foreigner ever, and then Cyril immediately took it away. And so it was that. And then the stats for Cyril thing that we were kind of setting up last year, like they were in the finals of both those tournaments, and Stats was even saying like, "Oh, I'm going to get him this next year." And now Stats fill out every tournament kind of quickly, and it hasn't really been talked about because he's not dominating and Cyril's still dominating. So those are 2 that I was kind of really looking forward to. Could have been really fun. And Maru versus Cyril is something that just has fizzled out, but like that's another one, right?
Yeah.
Where it could have been just amazing.
It also just hasn't happened though. That's the kind of funny part.
Yeah. They shouldn't be big, but I guess I wish that things were different and they were.
Did it happen or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got any?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Maru Cyril from last year personally, like especially going into GSL versus the World when the team match was happening, the all kill thing, or was it? I don't know, whatever. Then one of the end matches was going to be Maru versus Cyril. They had the one crazy best of 7 or best of one, and then we wanted them to have the best of 7 finals, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then everyone's going into BlizzCon. Okay, let's have it again. Come on, Mara versus Cyril. He loses to SOS. So I was honestly pretty onto that hype train leading up throughout 2018. I kind of wish they battled a lot. That I personally think it would have been cool, because it was literally the person winning every GSL versus the person winning every WCS. And if they happen to continue to meet each other at the end of every international tournament, I think that would have been a really cool story.
Yeah.
That would have been some Flash versus Jadong shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you,
One
Robbie.
thing that I think one that I think hasn't really happened that I wish would happen is a story where a player that comes back from military service actually does well.
Parting though. Oh wait, no, Part never mind. He didn't come back from military. He came back from Chinese mobile games.
Yeah. That's just one that hasn't happened yet that I hope does soon.
Yeah, I think it can. Someone like Fantasy might suddenly surprise.
Dream Fantasy Polt, Tasia.
Polt's even been kind of just like chilling at that barely 6K mark. He hasn't even been able to break it. Dream, like Darkness said in chat, I think could potentially be one of those. Dream was absolutely absurd before he left, and all of a sudden he's barely back at all, and he's doing well in that Olimoleague. I think he could potentially.
Did he do military though?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. No, don't quote me on it, but I assume that him leaving for that long of a time had to be military.
Wow. Well, you know what they say about assumptions.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up with Chapter 5 from Zesty's Story. It's called Zesty's Story Chapter 5. 2 weeks later.
I actually had forgotten. Yay.
Strap in, boys.
You guys want me to read the other chapters? We can get kind of refreshed on...
Yeah, give us.
We'll make a compilation video at the end.
With hardly a name, the UED fleet had been outmaneuvered and outdrawn upon arrival to the Marasara system hub. The two admirals quickly realized that all the simulations and training for the Zerg couldn't match the relentless intensity on the combat they'd encountered. Barely a few hours passed between each skirmish. The clang of the battle station's klaxons, a constant drone, sapping strength and hours from the beleaguered soldiers. The admirals had called a conference of their strategic officers after requesting a thorough analysis of techniques and numbers and tactics being used by this before unknown Cyril of the Zerg. All high-ranking members themselves, this command circle had been in constant discussion for 2 days over the capabilities and counter-strategies required to defeat of their new foe. Let me get this voice right. Oh, wow. I can't do this impression, but it's... My fighter wings have had success in the zero-G combat, but their numbers wear us down faster than we can land and reload munitions. The endless assault will invariably weaken our sorties if we don't find ways... I like that in this world, Kevin says invariably, by the way, to resupply and get medical to get our pilots back in the air, Air Force General Vanderpoy explained. For perhaps the fourth time.
You gotta do the maid at the end of the air.
Right. Hey! His courageous and brazen air wings had great success, but relied upon the heavier cruisers to truly damage the Leviathans of the Zerg Armada. Vice Admiral Fabricant echoes those concerns. I can't do an 8 voice either. Without our sorties holding the small flyers at bay, our capital ships have been getting pounded by these slimy goops. Even our micro-yams have been ineffective in close-range ship defense, but I will say they've been an absolute chad against their slower boarding crafts. We've barely had any hull breaches boarded by Lings or Banes. This discussion continues, recognizing that it'll take their combined efforts to push this fight from the skies and onto the ground, where perhaps their superior bombardments could provide covering fire needed to push back against Cyril.
All right, until next week.
Riveting stuff. I am on the edge of my seat.
He actually told me it's a 66 chapter book, by the way, so it's we're in for the long.
That's amazing.
No, I don't know.
I'm actually excited. 66 chapters. Damn.
Why not 69?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess that's for you and your partner to decide, though.
I'll leave it to King Sejong to tell me.
Yep. That is it. That's it for the show. Thank you all so much. We're going to wrap up by thanking our sponsors and then saying where you guys can find our guests. But here are our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. The list continues to grow, and it's amazing seeing some of these names on here for as long as you guys have. We really appreciate that. Thank you. In our 100th episode, I promise to you, on episode 55 right now, that when the show concludes, Dan Artosis will read off each name that ever supported the Patreon. Not that they currently do, just everyone that ever has.
Okay. You compile the list, and I will read it off.
I want to see Dan like reading glasses and like a tall glass of water, like hour 6. Kevin Bradford, Jeremy Sampson.
I will happily do it.
Yeah? All right. Well, that was a joke, by the way, guys, so please don't hold me to that. Joke's on you, though. We'll never get to episode 100 because we'll skip it and go to episode 101. Boop! Anyways, thank you all so much. You can also support us on Matrino, by the way, and you put in the code CANDY. Costs you nothing, helps contribute to our prize pool, which we then cash out at the end and I spend on Warhammer. Dan has a family to sustain. And who knows what Matt's doing. That's actually a great joke. We don't know. He could be using it to fuel a Coca-Cola addiction. We don't know.
I'm building a moon base.
He's building a moon base. There it is. Okay, so moon base is around for everybody. Lycan has AFKT. Check him out. Thank you to Lycan for his support of the Pylon Show as well. And that is that. So, guys, it's been a nice episode. We had 2 brand new guests here. Olivia, you do a lot of stuff. Make sure everyone check her out on Twitter. I also will say she's good for about once every 2 months she'll call somebody out. So it's an interesting Twitter. It's not as good as some of the other Twitters where they call out people more often, but I like it. Sometimes she'll drop the, yo, fuck you, dude. And it's like, yeah.
What was the more recent one? I felt like that one was pretty good. I can't remember what it was.
Oh no, that guy's in chat.
Right.
I
All right.
shouldn't really say that.
So what's the name?
It's Fear Dragon, but there's me bullying again. Hey, so what do you got going on? When's your next tournament and stuff? What are you up to?
Yeah, so next week we have the Olimoleague June finals. And I'm mostly just doing that. I'm, calling people out on their shit, apparently. And then I'm running Chivo Starcraft, which is a new team that has Sue and Cham, and we're sponsoring and canning too. So if you guys could check us out, that would be great.
And they have some of the best visuals, I would say, for a team. I love that. It looks really cool. Gemini, a guy that's doing all kinds of stuff. I was looking at your Twitter. You coach StarCraft. You're memeing on Reddit. You're running your own tournament these days. Can you tell us all about it, please?
Yeah, I'm doing the Gemini Korean Invitational is my newest big kind of thing. You can support that on Patreon. Any supporters do get replays, so similar to the Olimoleague format. If you are a patron, you will get the replays for that. Thank you to Olimoleague for helping me set that kind of stuff up too. She was helpful with getting all the logistics set out. But yeah, it's pretty sick. You can find me on Twitter at ggemini19. It is not ggemini19, although if you would like to say it that way, then please go ahead. You can find me on, I put some like VODs and stuff on YouTube, YouTube/Gemini_19. My Twitch, Gemini SC2. I know it's different every single spot. That's probably bad for branding, but oh well. I'm going to be streaming after this, so if you want to come chill out, then feel free. But yeah, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. I like talking about StarCraft as much as possible, especially the Korean scene. So thank you, and it was enjoyable.
Thanks for coming on, man. I do want to point out he has 669 people that he's following, and then he has 1,669 followers.
Holy crap!
That is
I'm screenshotting that.
That is too much symmetry there, and I'm expecting the chat to destroy that immediately. Like,
yes, please
get this guy over 2,000 followers, and eventually to 2,669 so we get back to it.
Thank you. Yes, that's my goal in life, to always have some amount of 69 in my follower account.
It's not such a bad goal, I would say. Speaking of 69, Dan.
All right.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just streaming.
Yeah.
Pylon show, in depth, happy times, practicing for Corrupted Cup. That's it. I don't know. Pylon show's great. Makes me happy. Makes me think everything's going to be all right in the whole world.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching.
Check him out on Twitter. Next week is going to be the GSL, and Dan's been streaming a whole bunch. It's really funny.
ASL on Sunday, right? And it's a crazy schedule. July, like I have, I don't know, 4 days off or something in July. It's wild.
Wow.
We have ASL and GSL going full blast, and some other stuff going on. And then August is pretty busy as well. So lots and lots and lots of casting coming up for me, and my normal streaming schedule and Pylon show and in depth.
Very, very cool. For me, guys, I always just want to take this time to again thank Cobra. He's doing this remotely, which is just that much more difficult, but he's just that dedicated. It's great. We also have a fantastic team behind helping do all kinds of things. Like we teased, we're building a forum. There's people that are constantly updating the graphics and just making the show crisper and better and improving the systems behind it. So it's just really cool to be a part of, and it's kind of taken its own life, so it's a little bit scary at the same time, but I like to be a little bit scared. That's the way to do it. For me, I want to just take this time and platform to also thank everyone, because I can't thank them individually, but there's a lot of people that have reached out and said, hope you're feeling better and, you know, get healthy and all that stuff. And there's way more of you than there is of me, but just know that I really appreciate it. It's cool to be in a place where people care and want you to do better, as opposed to, you know, the opposite, I suppose. And I won't know anything until I heal up and the antibiotics really kick in, but I hope to make a full recovery and then be back at it. Otherwise, I'll be streaming and hanging out as per usual. And that's it. We got Pylon Show next week, I'm sure. And stay tuned. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. Check out Gemini. He's going to be streaming after this. I think we're going to host him, assuming his stream goes right live. And that's it. You guys have a great night. See you. Bye.
All right.